actually StreamYard a lot of the time because I'm
Stupid StreamYard.
hardwired. Now I
Yeah, I'm
was
hard.
Wi-Fi before, but I'm hardwired now, and like it's still been giving me problems. But
Yeah,
only StreamYard though.
that's what I was just talking about. Yeah, but we're on now. So we
Oh,
are, as you
sorry.
can see, this is the long overdue Hannibal live commentary. Because I think, if not the first, one of the very first live commentaries I did for my own channel, just because it's a movie that I had on hand and watched all the time, was Silence of the Lambs. And then we were able to follow that up with Red Dragon. And then quite a bit of time passed before any of us could get Manhunter. And I guess Orc wasn't there for Manhunter. He was there for the other two.
I don't think he was.
I guess he wasn't, because I was talking to him the other day and he didn't seem to remember that. So, but anyway, the plan to do this one was to include Orc, and Orc was supposed to be here. So we're gonna give it a little more time because we were talking to him until pretty recently, and he was gonna come, but sometimes stuff happens and he can't make it. So we're gonna give it a little bit more time. But yeah, so if anybody can remember the other ones, that's going back a ways. That's like 3 years ago, I think, that we did.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, maybe over 3 years ago that we did Silence of the Lambs. And it wasn't too long after that we did Red Dragon, which are movies that they're both, the movies and the books, I've just like watched them and read them repeatedly in my life. Red Dragon's one of the first DVDs I ever owned, and that's still all I have is just the old DVD. And that only came out a year after this, which is kind of surprising in a way. I guess because maybe the popularity was at an all-time high. Because Silence of the Lambs, the movie, came out. They started making it just a couple of years after the book, because the book was such a big success. So they make a movie. Movie is an even bigger success. Well, maybe not bigger, but it's a very big success movie-wise. And Thomas Harris was working on a sequel for a few years in the 90s, and everybody really wanted to get that movie made. And right up to as far as 97, Jodie Foster said, "Oh yeah, I'll be there." But as we can see now, Jodie Foster did not join. Sometimes it was because something to do with the script or the book itself. Sometimes it's because it says that it's just because there was some movie I think she was directing or something, and she wanted Claire Danes in it, and Claire Danes had become available. So I don't know. So I'll say one thing. I'll say it again when we're watching, is that a little bit controversial is that I actually do, I don't think this book or this movie are nearly as good as Silence of the Lambs, the book, the movie. I do like Jodie. I do like not Jodie Foster. I do
Julianne Moore.
like Julianne Moore more as Agent Starling. She just seems more like the character to me. Like, not a lot. It's not like I thought Jodie Foster was bad. I thought Jodie Foster was good. I just found Moore fit a little bit better.
I was gonna save it for the actual commentary, but yeah, I know you feel that way, and I feel the complete opposite.
Yeah. Because like I said, I don't dislike anything about Jodie Foster. I just think it's kind of a bit of an improvement. I don't know. I've always liked Jodie Foster as an actress. She's done a lot of things, and she's very good in that. When I think about the character, and especially what the character does in this book and movie, which of course is its own thing too, because that's one of the reasons why the director of Silence of the Lambs turned it down. He found it kind of too dark, and he didn't like the choices that were made with the characters, and just said, "I can't do that."
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's easy to forget, at least it's easy for me to forget, that this movie wound up being directed by Ridley Scott. Like, do you ever think about this movie when you think about Ridley Scott's career?
I forgot about that, yeah.
I always forget that Ridley Scott did it. And it has the hallmarks of a Ridley Scott movie. It looks fantastic. Great attention to detail and all the stuff that we expect from Ridley Scott. Actually, he was in an interesting place, too. Because after sort of a quiet 90s by his standards, it was, he did Gladiator, right? And Gladiator was a big, big deal. Like, it's a super overrated movie. Does not age that well, but it's a good movie. And so I guess he would have been in high demand for anything after that. But Jonathan Demme had a very different sort of career too, as we said before he did Silence of the Lambs. Oh, hold on a second. I think we're hearing from Orc. There we go. Sorry. I think that means Orc is coming, so that's cool. Oh, very nice. Yeah. Sorry. Just heard from Orc, so I think Orc will be coming, unless he's going to say that he can't for some reason, because he did just finally. Hello. He did finally He did finally message us.
With some fava beans.
Yeah. I did that I almost did that the other night. I was talking to Jamie. It's one of the last things I did because I was trying to say something with an F, and I started to stutter, and I was like, and I was just like, I was like, fava bean. It's
Yeah.
Nice Chianti or whatever.
Oh yeah, Chianti. That's right.
And it's funny, like everybody knows the story anyway, and I'm sure we probably said it when we saw the movie years ago. It's like after he did that, he added the whole thing himself, and he's just like, "Was that too much?" And they're like, "No, we love it."
No,
yeah,
not at all.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It helps just sort of show just kind of deranged he is, I guess. But yeah, I was saying something about Ridley Scott. It doesn't matter now. But yeah, I just mean when I think of Ridley Scott, it's easy to think of his movies, and I always forget that this is one of his. Even though if you watch it, it's very clearly a Ridley Scott film. He's certainly a very good director. So what it really comes down to, I think, it's not like I think I have any issue I have with the movie is also issues I just have with the book itself, because the book is just going to make certain story choices that I don't really care for, and I think a lot of people didn't care for. Here's the book, which I've read many times. And of course, Thomas Harris is a wonderful writer. This is a sumptuously written book. Like reading him talking about like all the descriptions of stuff, like Hannibal's memory palace, and just the descriptions of the places in Rome and all this, just wonderfully done stuff. And Harris obviously has a really keen insight into real life, like killers and psychopaths. I think he's talked to FBI agents and things like that, enough to take something that's real and make more, because obviously Hannibal is the ultimate example of kind of a fantastical, not realistic serial killer, and yet there's enough in there that makes it seem like he could be real despite all the craziness that comes with him. And by the craziness, I don't of course mean like killing and eating people, and there have been serial killers that do that, but they're not ones with like a bunch of PhDs and successful psychiatrists and speak a bunch of languages. The idea is, this is the evil genius trope really turned up, but it's an evil genius trope turned on its head a bit, because it's not, he's not some Bond villain trying to take over the world or topple the governments. He just wants to live a good life and eat people now and then. It's really what it is. So you can see why he's such an appealing character and villain through. And another thing that they do in this movie, it's funny too, because it's about him, is they always have like some killer that's supposed to be like kind of worse than him, right? The Red Dragon, Francis Dollarhide. I guess he's supposed to be worse because he kills entire families, is the thing. He'll even kill children, which is something Hannibal doesn't do. Like, Hannibal leaves children alone. He just kills people that annoy him and thinks that society won't miss. And then you have, the Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs. Yeah. And I don't know. Maybe it's just that he usually abducted young girls, young women. So there's always somebody to like make Hannibal like seem not as bad, even though he's definitely a bad, evil guy himself. And this movie's sort of the ultimate example in that, they come up with the character played by Gary Oldman, whose name I can't remember, Mason Verger, where they just make Mason Verger like absolutely awful and loathsome, because like he's not actually a killer, but he kind of would be if he could get away with it. He's rich and can do whatever he wants. He controls people's lives. Obviously nobody likes child molesters, but they take him up another notch of a child molester too, because you have like, again, nobody's really gonna be sympathetic towards most child molesters, and I'm not saying they should be, but you have the child molesters that have like that whole fucked up thing in their head where they don't really think what they're doing is wrong, and they think it's an expression of love and kindness and things like that. Verger is one who knows that he is messing them up and hurting them and relishes it. And I don't know if they really show it in this, but they do show it in the TV series that they made. And they do, and of course it's in the book, where like after what Hannibal did to him, and he's not physically able to like molest or harm children physically anymore, he just likes to fuck with them and devastate them emotionally. Like there's this whole scene where he's talking to this kid that lives in an orphanage, who talks about like how hard it is being an orphan, but there's still some nice things, because there's the nice like foster mother that looks after him, and there's a nice kitty cat. And like Mason Verger's talking about how like they might lose all their money, or she might like go away, and Kitty Cat might die. Like he's saying all this, like devastating this this orphan child, and he's taking sadistic delight in it. So yeah, Verger, they really put it up to 11. So like it's like, okay, we know that Hannibal. Now that we're making him the main character, how are we going to spin this? Because he still is a serial killing monster. It's like, well,
Yeah.
we'll come up with somebody worse. It's like Gary Oldman, come on down. Once more, Gary Oldman can just sort of disappear into a role, prosthetics and everything.
That's one of my favorite parts about this movie is that role.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Oldman, he's always great.
He can do it all.
Real quick, not to go too far off topic, but did you hear about Cain Velasquez? You reminded me when you were talking about Chomos.
Yeah.
Someone like molested one of his family members, and he went and then tried to shoot the guy, but I think wound up shooting someone else.
Shot the guy's father. So
yeah.
I think he was in the car with his parents, and he shot the guy's father. And all these people were like talking like I don't know. It's not the type of thing I like to talk about because I feel like most people can't be rational and things like that. And I get it. It's be like, well, what if it was your family? What if it was your family? How would you feel then? And you're right. I don't know how I would feel then, but I just mean I'm on the kind of predictable side of, well, you can't just go around shooting people in the street. Is kind of how I feel.
You can't, but
And I mean, I heard people say that, like, and people were like, well, he didn't even hit the right person. And some people were like, well, that's collateral damage. And I'm like, okay, now we're really on a slippery slope here. If it's just collateral damage,
At least no one died because he probably won't go to jail for too long.
I mean, it's attempted murder. It could be 20 years is what I've heard. Yeah.
20,
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, hell, I've seen people get less than 20 for killing somebody.
Yeah, again, I've talked about this before. I really don't understand how laws work from state to state, how different they can be.
Yeah.
They can be really different. So I don't know. But I mean, I did read somewhere it could be up to 20 years, but who knows? I mean, it's a sad thing to think that, like, he threw his life away and that he might go away that long.
I feel like the judge, and I don't know if it's going to go to jury trial or not, but I feel like they may be a little lenient on him considering the situation because I think everyone can kind of relate to that. And hey, I'll tell you right now, I'd murder a motherfucker in a heartbeat if they did anything to my kids.
Right. I get it. Like I said, I understand that side of it, but I mean, it would just be sort of lead to chaos and death, I think.
Oh yeah. No, it's not a good thing, but I mean, it's like a knee-jerk reaction type thing,
And I mean, this is all allegedly, as far as I know, but allegedly, this was a guy that was getting away with it a lot,
Right. I think he had just gotten acquitted, I think, for whatever.
Charges had come up for various things, and he was getting off for this reason or that reason. And so I mean, again, it's not like King was completely knee-jerk. It seemed like this had been a pattern where this person was like maybe getting away with it, and you get the frustration. It's like you try to leave things up to law and order.
Right.
And look what happens. So I mean, I'm sympathetic, obviously, from that side of things, but
it's vigilante justice,
Yeah.
Which is not necessarily a good thing, but sometimes the courts don't always make the best decisions. So
unfortunately, I think a lot of the times is really one of the reasons. Is like it's a lot more.
Well,
and I mean, it works the other way too. Is like a lot of the time we've seen things where innocent people wind up in jail because the court fucked up. So that
thank God for DNA. DNA evidence getting a lot of people off that have been wrongfully convicted.
Yeah, you always hear about stories like that. Somebody's been in jail 25, 30 years, and then finally some DNA evidence comes in and completely clears them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, I feel sorry for Kane and his family, but at the same time, I'm kind of scared by that kind of the reaction we get from society of people like cheering him on and saying he did nothing wrong. Like, again, I get it, but I just feel like we're headed headed in a bad direction if everybody's just gonna.
It's a slippery slope for sure.
Yeah.
You say, well, you cut me off the traffic light, so obviously I can shoot you.
Yeah, and I mean, I read that happened recently too.
Yeah, oh yeah, that happens all the time.
I know. So, I mean, that reminds me of the Will Smith thing we're going to talk about. It's like people just can't control their anger, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Like if you're, I mean, if you're somebody like Will Smith, not to be a big thing, but I mean, you're a middle-aged father, actor, famous person, millionaire, and you still can't, I don't know, contain yourself in a situation like the goddamn Oscars. And it's funny because I don't have much respect for the Oscars, but if I was there, I would respect it enough to not punch people on stage. Oh, I think we got Orc, so we can get going in a minute.
I just feel like he's at a place in his life where he's not used to not being able to do what he wants to do. You throw enough money at a problem and it goes away.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think the joke was that bad. Do you?
Oh, it was not a good joke. That's part of the problem, and I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, it was
we can talk that thing to death. No, I don't think it was that bad. It was innocent. It was an innocent
well,
joke.
that's what I mean. I mean, yeah, obviously, it's not that great of a joke if you have to pull out a GI Jane reference in 2022,
No.
But to me, and people are already giving lectures and stuff on Twitter on why it's not funny because it's related to a medical condition. But I'm thinking, one, it's hair loss, and people are dealing with a lot more serious stuff than that going on. And two, I always thought that it's an innocent joke because it's one of those kind of look on the bright side type situations to me, which is, I get it. It's like a joke where, I don't know, somebody like loses their foot. It's like, look on the bright side. Now you only have to pay half off for shoes or something like that. It's not a good joke. It's not hilarious. But to me, there's no malice there. And that's what I think. It's like, look on the bright side, you're losing your hair, but hey, you could always play G.I. Jane in the sequel. I get it that it's not hilarious or anything, but I don't know. To me, there's certainly nothing vicious, cruel, or callous about it.
Well, I mean, no one in that building besides that family probably knew that she had a disease, right? Who would?
I don't know. I mean,
who would know that? I mean, that's not been publicly disclosed to my knowledge before now.
It must have been if Chris Rock knew.
Oh, Chris Rock did know.
He's not a close family friend as far as I can tell. And I do wonder, is there some history there? That's what I wonder too. Like, does has he said some stuff before that Will didn't like? I don't know. But anyway, kudos to Chris Rock, I think, for just being professional about it.
Yeah. That says a lot. I don't think a lot of people could have maintained composure,
No, but I mean, that's what it is to be a professional comedian. He's been a comedian for over 30 years. Yeah. He's been through stuff, people screaming, booing, throwing stuff, all that stuff. So, I mean, this is pretty different, to have a movie star come up and do that at the Oscars in front of an audience of millions. But I mean, that's another one of those times because there's been a couple times where I've been hit in public and I didn't do anything either because I was so surprised to be hit. So I think that comes into it. Right. Although, I mean, because everybody, just because he went up on the stage, I don't know if anybody anticipated actually hitting him because it's like, oh, this is kind of like an SNL type thing. It's like, I'm going to physically confront you now. You have to deal with me right in your face. But no, smack, whatever. Anyway.
Wouldn't you think there'd be some security? I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm
venue like that.
Well, that's what I thought immediately after that is like, how is Will Smith still in the building to go up and cry about his dumb award? Like, he should have been removed. What is the Oscars if anybody can just walk up on stage and assault somebody?
Like I said, I think if it had been anybody but him, they would have been escorted out. Absolutely.
It seems that way. Because I mean, there's obviously is security at the Oscars. It's a big event full of famous rich people. It's going to have security. Yeah. So what? Are the security people there with their earpieces in, and somebody's like, "Well, hold on, let's see where this is going." Hold on,
Will Smith's coming up. Hold on, let him go. Let him go.
Let him go. Let him have, we already know he's going to win Best Actor for the tennis movie, so let him go there. And we will not harp on this much longer because we're going to get to the movie. And like you said, everybody can talk about it. But the other thing that gave me even less sympathy is because, like most people, I was not watching. Then I saw it on Twitter. So I decided to tune in. And I tuned in pretty much in time for Will to actually go up and get his Oscar and give the stupidest bullshit speech I've ever heard in my life where he tries to paint himself as some sort of victim and, and justify what he did, which... I mean, if he got up there and said, even if he made a crappy apology, he was sorry about getting upset in the moment, but he said the love can make you do crazy things thing, which is one of the most bullshit lines in the history of the universe. And then also he talked about how terrible it is to be a famous person because sometimes people talk shit about you and your family. Oh, well, boo fucking who? I get it. Words hurt. I understand that words hurt and you have it coming, but don't tell me somebody like Will Smith was living a life where he's just surrounded by haters. Most people like Will Smith and only have good things to say about him. And the worst things most people have to say about Will Smith is, I don't think he's that good of an actor. Or haha, his rap career sucks. Oh no, Will, it must be so awful.
I actually think he is a good actor. And I mean, I didn't like his rap music, but I love Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but I don't like him as a person,
I certainly don't now. I mean, I probably didn't before, but now I really don't if this is This is who he is.
I just feel like when you make a shitty movie, then you go and bitch about it that it didn't get any awards. Like you're kind of a crybaby, right? Like, come on.
Yeah, like we said, like it really makes this Oscar kind of suspect. I'm not saying he didn't do a good job or something, but isn't it more like kind of like, well, you lost so many times because they do that with Oscars sometimes, right? Like sometimes somebody loses a bunch of times, so they're up a bunch of times, so they don't even get nominated. It's like, okay, let them win just so they can win, like a consolation thing. I don't know. I don't have much respect for the Oscars or the committee or the process, so it doesn't really matter to me. I don't think they should take the award away from him, but I mean, I agree with them banning him if that's what they were going to do, so he couldn't win anymore.
Apparently Sam Jackson got a Lifetime Achievement Award, but it wasn't even televised.
Yeah, it's funny. They cut out a bunch of stuff because they're trying to like trim it down, but it seems like they picked the worst stuff to cut out.
I would love to see that. He deserves it, dude.
I mean, I saw them put and again, I don't want to diminish anything because one of the things I do like about the Oscars is it isn't always 100% about the big movie stars. They'll talk about like sound engineers and stuff like that, but I mean, at the same time, it seems kind of weird that we don't get to see somebody like Sam Jackson, who is kind of a legend, get a Lifetime Achievement Award. And instead, we see like the people win the makeup award for the movies. And again, I don't want to diminish that because I'm glad that we show, yeah, movies aren't just a bunch of pampered actors. There's a lot of people that go into it and they deserve recognition too. So I don't know.
Sam Jackson, Goodfellas, True Romance, Star Wars, Marvel movies. What am I leaving out?
He's been all over. You can
I
link
know
him
I'm
to pretty
leaving some
much
stuff out.
Oh, Jurassic Park, even though it's a small role. But I mean, as far as like
Jurassic
linking him
Park.
to stuff, right? You can link him to everything.
I mean, Pulp Fiction, of course. I mean, Jackie Brown. So many of my favorite movies. I mean, he's amazing. I love Sam Jackson.
Yeah, he's done a lot of cool
Glass.
stuff. Hello, Orc. What's up?
Not a whole lot.
Yeah,
Unbreakable.
I don't like Unbreakable, but yeah.
Fucking
I feel like I'm leaving another big franchise out.
Not Oliphant. What the fuck is the dude who plays the dude who's crippled in bed in this fucking movie? His face freaks me out now.
Oh yeah, that's Gary Oldman. We're talking about Gary
Oldman. Yeah, now that my
Also
meds are straightened away.
Well, yeah, also in True Romance, playing Mason Verger. We were talking about how more it's like, since unlike the other books and movies where Hannibal was a side character, this is Hannibal. He's the main character. It's like, how can we make him the main character since he is kind of an evil guy who murders and eats people? It's like, I'll come up with a foil who's even worse. So they came up with Mason Verger for the audience to really despise, even though he's actually not really a killer. But the whole thing is he wants to kill Hannibal. It's revenge thing. So yeah. But this was a long time in coming, as we were saying before I came here, because we did this years ago on my channel. Just because they were movies that I had easy access to and was familiar with, and I thought they were a good starting point for live commentary. So, and then a couple years after that, I can't remember. I thought I probably got like a preview or something so I could finally see Manhunter. And Jay and I did Manhunter, and I guess that's on his channel because I couldn't find it online. And you weren't with us for that, but you'll be with us for the ones that include Anthony Hopkins, who had to go up like right after Will Smith, by the way.
Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Really?
Yeah. It's funny, too. Like, I don't even remember if he was accepting an award or what he was doing, but he went up and he just said, Will Smith said it all, which is a very cool diplomatic thing to say.
He was doing Best Actress.
Yeah.
Presenting.
Because he's a fucking gentleman.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. It's a very cool diplomatic thing to say. He's sort of showing respect to Will, but he's also not condoning anything Will did or anything like that,
I don't know. I'm Team Chris Rock. Fucking Will Smith's a fag. I like his music, though.
I'm Team Chris Rock, too.
Yeah.
Like I said, I get it. Comedians are going to offend some people with what they say, and I've sometimes even been offended, but,
Dude,
there's a right way and a wrong way to react to that.
Ricky Gervais eviscerated people out there.
Yeah,
much worse.
That was another thing that was also like, I remember because the whole thing was on Twitter and that's how I found it because I wasn't watching. It's like Ricky Gervais was very quickly trending because people were making the joke. I can't believe somebody got like punched at the Oscars and it wasn't Ricky Gervais.
You got Pizzal in the chat. What's up, brother?
But how close are you getting set up, or?
I'm good to go. I just have to
you're good
play.
To go. Nice. Yeah. Okay. Because So we're a bit late. Not that it's a big deal, but we were glad to wait for you because it wouldn't have felt right to do it without you because of the other ones. And so yeah, it's definitely
My
probably
bad.
giving people.
I couldn't miss the speech. I had to watch it live.
That's no
I
problem.
missed
I'm
it,
one of
man.
those. How are you guys with like sports and shit like that? Like most people are like, oh, I can TiVo this and record it and shit and watch it later. I have
Not with
to
live
watch it.
sports.
I have to watch if it's any sporting event or like anything that can be live. I have to watch it live.
I mean, as far as sport, yeah, like I'm not gonna like tape the game and then watch it the next day because then all I'll do is like start fast forwarding shit anyway. I'll be like, okay, let's just see where they score, you know.
Yeah.
So no,
Fast
it's
forward
no
to
good.
commercials is good.
That of course that's always good, yeah. But I just mean it would be really hard for me, like I don't know, to miss like a hockey playoff game and then like the next day like have to ignore everything so I don't see what the score is and then watch what I recorded. Like I don't really have the discipline or anything for that. So yeah, it is important to watch it live if you can. I guess I don't mind it as much because I did used to do it when I had the channels to like tape like a UFC event because that was because I wasn't that emotionally invested for most of it, so it didn't matter to me. So I could watch it after the fact. But I mean, for stuff I really cared about, like the hockey or something, I don't know, maybe something in the Olympics. Yeah, you want to watch it as it's happening.
Are you
sure.
back on the wagon with hockey?
I mean, somewhat. Austin Matthews scored his 50th goal last night, so that was a long time in the making. In that he would have had it 2 years ago and last year, if not for COVID shortened seasons. So it's nice to see him become only the fourth Leaf in history to have hit 50 goals. So it is a pretty big deal. I mean, I don't feel good about the playoffs like I ever do. And
where is he from? That guy, Cole?
He's from Arizona. Isn't that crazy? That's one of the only reasons.
What country is that?
What?
The U.S. of A.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the first American to score 50 goals since John LeClaire 25 years ago. So it's been a long time for that too.
Dun 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 dun.
But yeah, that's one of the only reasons I can be happy about. Like, I like most Canadians, I was upset when the Jets had to move from Winnipeg to Arizona to Phoenix. But one good thing that came out of it is like Austin Matthews, who probably would have gone on to play some other sport, got taken to a Phoenix Coyotes game when he was a kid and fell in love with the game. So he got to become a hockey player.
That's so crazy. Hockey's big in Phoenix, of all places.
That
place is hot as fuck.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's big. The team's been on life support for a few years.
Oh, really?
They're basically Gary Oldman. Gary Bettman's like pet project is like, I won't, he's already upset that Atlanta failed. Like he can't have another one fail. But anyway, so yeah, of course I'm somewhat back on the wagon. But even if I didn't think the Leafs, even if I didn't have that curse about me where I don't believe in them, because like last year they were up 3-1 against a team they were way better than. And not for a second did I believe they would win, and I was right. They lost 3 straight games and lost. But I just mean like, even if I didn't have that hanging over me, their division is insane. It's like they either get to play Florida, Tampa, or Boston. That's their only options. Most likely Tampa or Boston. Boston, who we were better than all year, has caught up to us out of nowhere. Tampa are the 2-time defending Cups champs, and Florida, despite having a completely woeful playoff record, have just destroyed the league this year. And they're scoring goals like motherfuckers. So, I mean, that's round one. Like that'll be the Leafs are going to finish with over 100 points this year, and their reward will be a first-round matchup against one of those killers. Meanwhile, other divisions are weak. But anyway, that's enough of that shit. Let's get the movie
Phoenix.
going. Let's talk about Phoenix.
I went to Phoenix back when it was when Charles Barkley and Jordan were off in the championship game. It was like the next year after that, so Phoenix was pretty big in basketball. But we landed, at the airport. It was like 112 degrees outside. Fahrenheit.
Yeah, I can believe it. They have that moment in, I think, it's the 4th season of Arrested Development, where after like the cliffhanger of the 3rd season, where Michael's finally going to take George Michael away and so like, get away from these people. We're going to start a new life. And he said, we're going to start a new life in Phoenix. And he like has to fly to Phoenix. And it's the same thing. As soon as he steps out of the airport or the air conditioning, he goes, oh my God. He's like, it's so hot. They repeat the joke later when characters wind up in India, because India is also fucking hot.
Oh, I bet.
And way more crowded. So I'm sure India is a great country, but it's not really high on my list because it's overcrowded and hot as balls.
They've still got the plague there, if that makes any difference.
That makes that's not higher in their favor either. Yeah. I mean, India might be one of the best examples of like a country that is first world in so many ways, but still third world in others. Like it's just like a clash. Because you got people with the plague there and
people shitting on the street,
and then you've got like really high tech medical facilities with some of the best doctors in the world. All thrown in together. That's
fourth
crazy.
best military in the world.
Yeah, and they're gonna overtake China soon because
they just got so many people there, man.
Yeah. They don't believe in birth control, apparently.
Well, them and Pakistan as well. They've got a crazy high population also. There's like 1 billion people in Pakistan.
But I'm not prepared for that sort of dry heat. I've never really experienced that really dry heat. I've never been in like a desert.
It's better than the humid.
It's way better than humidity. I've experienced both living in Colorado.
Humid heat is what I've had to live with my whole life. And it is, disgusting. Not that it happens much, not where I live, But I just mean the hottest I ever was the day I went to Chichen Itza in Mexico. It was 44 degrees Celsius, so that's over 100. It's not 112, but it's over 100. And I mean, Chichen Itza is just a big open space. It's just a huge, massive, so you're just baking in the sun. And of course, the pyramids there. And this was back in 2000. This was, almost exactly 22 years ago. And back then, I've told the story before, you were allowed to climb the pyramid, and I did. When I was up on it, you're not allowed sometime years ago. And I understand why, because it's dangerous as hell. It's the steepest steps ever. And all you can think is if you're going up is, if I fall, I'm taking everybody behind me with me. And up top, there's not like any, all they have is like the suggestion of like the thinnest like string along the edges. And there's little kids running around. I was 16, but I was still like, oh my God, when I saw like kids just running around, and I'm like, somebody's going to fall. I assume somebody did fall off, which is why eventually they changed the rules. You can't go up on it. But the other thing was, really quick, and then we'll finally get into what we're supposed to get into. They talked about how this was a place where people got killed and sacrificed. And there was this big hole, like a big sinkhole they used to throw people down into for it. And to get to it, there's like this gravel road that goes to it. And they called it like the Walk of Death or something like that. And I felt it because it takes about 10 minutes of walking to get there. And it's just hot. It's like the hottest I've ever been in my life. And I mean, the only good news is nobody's going to throw me in the hole when it was over. But I just felt like all the despair and fear and everything walking down that road, because I was just like, this is as close to the path to hell I hope I ever get on, because that's how it felt. It was scorching heat.
So was that Aztecs?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I realized the Aztecs were that far north. I thought they were deeper into South America.
Yeah, they're both, I guess. But I mean, that's kind of what surprised me a little though when we did that movie, when they had the Aztecs in that.
Yeah, great movie. That's like a bucket list thing. I want to go to Machu Picchu.
Yeah, I'd love to be up that high. But my main bucket list is just mountains, period. I've never really, I've done some minor, I want to see really big mountains. Obviously, Canada has a bunch, but I've just never been out west. Anyway, let's get to the movie.
You haven't lived till you've been up 14,000 feet.
Yeah, I want to experience that. I really do. But anyways, let's do the movie. This is Hannibal. Finally, after so many years, the three of us are going to do Hannibal. And I actually haven't seen the movie in a long time either, because like I said, obviously, if I could have seen it, we would have done it. And I couldn't get anywhere. The way I'm watching this is on Prime for me. I'm paying for the MGM channel, and MGM owns it, so that's why it's finally here. Anyway, I'm right on the MGM symbol.
Okay. That's what I was going to say, the lion, right?
Yeah. I'm right where I'm not at 0. I'm at about 2. So the lion is visible but has not roared is where I'm at. So we'll do a countdown.
I've got a bunch of crap in front of that on the stars. So I'm right at the MGM.
Okay.
Hold up, homie. Wait.
Yeah. And then we'll do the normal 3, 2, 1, go. Is what we'll do.
What do you think they did to that lion to make him roar? They probably like stabbed him with a sword or something.
I really hope not. He has a name and everything. You can look him up. I don't know. He doesn't.
All right, I'm at the lion roaring. Countdown when you guys are ready.
Cool. So we'll do a countdown. All right, viewers at home. 3, 2, 1. Hit it. You should hear a roar. Not going to turn down my volume. Yeah, he gives a
Yeah, they,
little.
like,
He gives a
stuck
second. Not
DMCA.
stuck a red hot poker up his ass.
Yeah.
You know, it was something horrible back in those days.
Yeah.
They didn't exactly treat, and PETA wasn't around. They didn't treat animals very well.
No. So this movie is a direct sequel to Silence of the Lambs, picking up a few years later. Hannibal has disappeared after his escape. Nobody's heard of him. Oh, it starts with it's Barney talking. That was, the guy, his attendant guy. And it says Cordell. Cordell's the guy that works for Verger.
Made me yawn, Orc.
Yeah, I'm fucking tired as fuck, and I took a nap too.
We'll keep you engaged.
Some of that aspartame up in you.
Has something quivering inside my body. I don't know what the fuck it is. I think it's my kidneys or my liver failing. That's diet soda for 30 years straight, nonstop.
Yeah.
It's that asulfame potassium for you.
Yeah.
So there's Verger. Gary Oldman. I mean, we always talk about him disappearing in roles. This is still one of the most blatant examples of that.
That's a nice wheelchair, man.
Well, he's a billionaire, so it should be. He's an extremely wealthy guy, Verger. What is it? Meat? It's like meat they've got, right? Yeah.
Oh, this guy looks familiar.
That is the same actor from Silence of the Lambs.
I can't
They
look
did-
at his fucking face. God
Look at
damn it.
makeup.
Yeah. And some good prosthetics and makeup works going on.
That's Faison.
No, I'm not going to know the name. I just know it is the same actor. They got him again. He plays a bigger role in the book. In fact, he winds up dating Verger's sister. Is Verger's sister even in this movie, or did they cut her out?
Not that I'm familiar with.
Yeah. Again, when they did the Hannibal show, they mixed everything up and changed things. They actually made her quite attractive. But in the book, she's kind of really masculine, and she's a lesbian, and she's a bodybuilder.
Wow.
And so I guess she doesn't date Barney, right? She still winds up being friends with Barney because Barney was also a bodybuilder when he was younger or something, and they had that in common.
Frankie Faison.
Ah, cool. There's the
Somewhat,
pièce
right?
de résistance, yeah.
You ever seen a film called Perfume before?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
Did you like that?
You mean the story of a murderer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really need to see it again. It's really good.
We should cover that on the show.
It's interesting. There's a scene, I think that's in this movie. It might also be, it's definitely in the book anyway, where, yeah, like, Hannibal has, like, mailed some stuff to Starling, but of course it's untraceable. But she goes to one of those, like, professional sniffers that has, like, an amazing nose, and he's smelling what's on the envelope to say where it came from. That's in the book anyway.
Is that a real thing?
I don't know if it's a professional, but there are people that have that
Professional
talent.
sniffers.
Yeah, well, that was just the words I used. But, there are people that have such an advanced sense of smell that they really can pick up on things. Like, I think that is in this movie. I think we're going to see that.
That's my best sense. Pretty much everything else I have is compromised, so I could smell like a motherfucker, though. Be like, who's burning matches?
I think my hearing's remarkably good considering how much time I spent in and around bands.
Yeah.
David Mamet worked on the screenplay. That's fucked up. Probably just a paycheck to him, but who knows?
Yeah.
You never know. People have diverse interests. Yeah, I actually like
Well,
Julianne
that's
Moore
cool.
more as Starling. She just seems to fit the character better. So this is pretty close to how the book opens, arresting the gang members. Because what they're trying to say about her career is like catching Lecter obviously made her famous and made her career, But the thing you find out is like violence has just completely followed her like wherever she goes, because she's like, by the time this is over, like Guinness or somebody contacts her to say she's like now set the record for like killing the most like criminals or something like that. Not most criminals, but like most criminals in the FBI top 10 most wanted and stuff like that. Because they never come quietly for Clarice is what it comes down to. And that's the other thing they do that makes it a little different from real life, because we think of like all like the worst serial killers in history. Most of them, when they were caught, just came quietly.
Yeah.
But for the sake of movies and books, for dramatic, you know. And I mean, it's very cleverly done how, like, for instance, she is maneuvered into running into Buffalo Bill by herself. Like, there's no plot hole there. It's not like, why would she go by herself? Why wouldn't she have backup? The whole point is, like, they were going to the wrong place, and she just thought she was interviewing somebody. She had no idea it was Bill. Then she realizes and winds up trapped with him. You know, it's well written. And it's the same thing in Red Dragon, where they think that Dollarhide is dead, and then Dollarhide, who had been given Graham's personal info by Lecter earlier, you know, tracks him down and attacks him at his house when everybody thinks he's dead. So, you know, pretty well written. It's not like stupid, because that's one of the things that always annoyed me about Criminal Minds, because Criminal Minds is a cool show and all, but they always made it seem like the profilers, because they are the main characters, the profilers don't go in and arrest suspects. But they always had them, like, you know, they'd have backup usually. You know, they'd have a SWAT team or whatever with them. But profilers don't do that. Profilers don't kick down doors and say hands in the air and all that shit. You don't risk profilers. The profilers do the profile and point your guys in the right direction. They don't go in and arrest people. But it's very deftly handled with Clarice, because she wanted to be originally. That's what she wanted to go into. That was the whole thing that Lecter was holding over her. It was like, it's very hard to get into, to become a profiler, and that's what she wanted. So that's why, because he said, you know, advancement. I know that's what you crave. But anyway, yeah. So this is sort of a cold open. It's not related to the main plot. It's just to give us an idea of where Clarice is in her life and career at this point. So they're just trying to arrest. Yeah, they're trying to arrest some dangerous gang criminals, and this is pretty close to the book. How it goes. I remember the whole thing here is that she decides to call it off, and they override her. She sees something, so let's watch here for a second. She's going to see something that makes her think we shouldn't do it. And she says we shouldn't, you know, it's off, don't do it, but they override her. The gang leader is a woman. There she is. Yeah, too crowded, too many people.
All units, stand down. First copy. This is Bolton. Stay on target.
Bolton's being a jerk. And of course, what's his name's in this is a real asshole, Ray Liotta. One thing they talk a lot about in the book is like that Starling deals with like a monumental wave of like sexism at her job.
Oh yeah.
It's like the main reason like Ray Liotta can't stand her is because, you know, not only is she doing better in her career than me, but she rejected me sexually. So I can't stand that. Probably too loud, isn't it? Seems pretty loud. Usually I have to turn this shit way up. And it all goes sideways.
At least he got ran over. The guy that decided to stay in it.
Yeah. It's a pretty good sequence. There's another fatality for you, Clarice. She's got a Mac 10.
She's got a baby.
And a Mac 10.
That's a man. Shoot her somewhere not in the vest.
Yeah.
shot straight to the baby into her heart.
It would have been cool. Now, of course, as dark as this movie is, the baby does not die.
Of course, the baby lives. Yeah.
I mean, this movie does get pretty dark, though. We were saying this is why Jonathan Demme turned it down.
So he was asked to direct first.
Yeah, he had first crack because he had, done the other one. So yeah, he was. Let's see, as far as I know, then they went just directly to guy there. Scott. De Laurentiis visited Ridley Scott on the set of Gladiator and suggested he direct Hannibal. Scott thought he was speaking about the Carthaginian general and replied, Dino, I'm already...
Am I frozen?
No.
Okay.
I went
Full
out
for a second.
Yeah, I know. It's not that time. Did you hear what I said about Ridley Scott?
On the set of Gladiator?
Yeah.
Yeah, we heard that part.
Okay, yeah.
It was right after that.
He thought he was referring to Hannibal from Carthage, the historical figure.
Oh, gotcha.
And he's like, I'm not going to do that. I just did a Roman epic. Chat. Oh, chat. Yeah, as I said, my problems with the movie extend to the book. So it's not like I have any problems with the movie uniquely. It's just storytelling decisions that they did in the book that I didn't like. Like a lot of people, I don't really think this book or movie was necessary. Yeah, there you go. Krendler, there's Ray Liotta, Paul Krendler. He's a real jackass.
Try fucking Chantix.
Steven Dorff and the fucking Ray Liotta.
Oh man.
Don't know it.
Kyle,
You don't get
Kyle
those
Dunnigan
commercials?
Did a great impression of him though.
No.
He's like smoking cigarettes on the set of the commercial. He's like, try fucking Chantix. It'll help you quit smoking.
No,
I
never
have to
saw
look that up. You guys would love it.
Yeah, one of the agents is dead.
Was that the one that got hit by the car?
Maybe. I didn't see anybody else get shot, so maybe.
You guys remember when this shit came out in the theaters? What you were doing?
Yeah.
I saw it opening night and or opening day, whatever you want to call it. And I remember there was a line like from the theater door all the way out through the theater, the main lobby, all the way out around the corner to see this movie.
Was this 2001?
Yep.
Yeah.
Was this before or after 2000 or 9/11?
This was early 2001, so before. I was still in high school when the movie came out. And I started university in the fall. So this movie came out, I think, in like February. So this is pre 9/11.
You started college
I saw it on
2001? Holy shit. Sorry, go ahead, Jay.
I saw it on pay-per-view for the first time. And I've never really liked this movie that much. I don't really like this or Red Dragon that much, honestly.
I love Red Dragon. I watched that endlessly. But it's mainly because I just like Graham. I actually think Graham is a more interesting character than Starling.
I do prefer Manhunter to Red Dragon.
Really?
But I just think
I can't believe
you
I
can't
forgot
touch
that.
Silence of the Lambs.
Because we obviously we must have talked about that. But to me, no. To me, Red Dragon's far above Manhunter.
I used to prefer Red Dragon, but
Just like all. I mean,
don't know.
and Manhunter cuts out the ending too. In Manhunter, they just have a shootout at the house. The house doesn't even burn down, and there's no attack on him when he's in Florida. Like Manhunter's such a rush. And as I
It's
said,
so
the rush.
different.
I can't, and I just think Red Dragon has way better cast.
Oh, of course.
Well,
Yeah.
that makes a big
I mean,
deal
Ed Norton,
difference to me.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm biased because I love Ed Norton, but just mean the other guy's fine. He's a pretty good Graham, actually, the CSI guy. But the rest is a real problem for me. And I felt like all the lines are so rushed. Whoever played Tom Noonan plays Dollarhide in that, and physically he's right, but I can't stand the way he acts it. He sounds so bored and disinterested. And that whole scene, like if you compare and contrast that scene where he's caught Lowndes, the reporter, and he's doing the "Do you see" thing while he's got him taped to the chair, like Tom Noonan's like, "You say you want to understand, but you understand nothing. You're an ant in the afterbirth." He's just completely monotone, and he's like rushing his lines, and I can't stand it. Whereas I give Ray Fiennes, or however you say it, full credit because he's like going for it. He's like, "But you don't owe me, or fear is not what you owe me, Mr. Lowndes." Pause. Dramatic pause. You owe me awe. Like, I don't know. It's so much better.
Ooh. Got her a stang.
But yeah, of the movies, this is my least favorite. But again, there's nothing wrong with the movie itself. The movie's done really well. It's got good actors and everything. It just comes to my issues with the book, where it's a story that didn't really need to be told. There's still some really good parts of it. I totally recommend reading the book. But I like a lot of they do have a difference to the ending here with the ending of the book. The ending of the book's even more bonkers than what happens here. Because in the book, spoilers, like he and Clarice really do run off together as like lovers, which is fucking stupid.
Wow. I do kind of keep that sexual tension going throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
but to me that completely, like, even though I like Graham better than Clarice, I still like Clarice, and I think that like undermines her character too. That in the end she just went against everything she believed in. Now, again, in the book, and it's a little bit in the movie, they show how like she's driven to it because even though she's good at her job, like everybody around her is disrespecting her and putting pressure on her the whole time. You know, so you understand why she feels kind of gets to like fuck all this type place. Right, so she's been invited to see a verger.
Get out of here, Junior.
This is where Hannibal's in like Italy, right?
Yeah,
and
he's hiding out.
Tries to pickpocket him.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, he's been hiding out in Rome. I think it's Rome. And he's successfully taken a position at a museum there, having murdered his predecessor. And he's settled very comfortably in, because again, he's a genius. You know, he speaks fluent Italian. He knows all the stuff for the job. And what happens is there's an Italian, I don't know if he's a cop or is it like the equivalent of an Italian government agent. He might just be a cop, but you know, he figures out who he is. And like when he tells Starling he thinks he found her, she's like, "Don't try to bring him in by yourself. You'll die." And he's like, "No, there's a big, reward money, so I want it." So I know we're supposed to like not really feel bad for the guy, but I still do. I feel bad for the guy. I don't think he's just being greedy. And the only person whose safety he puts at risk really is himself. Although again, it's a good lesson, If you think you found one of the FBI's 10 most wanted, don't try to bring them in yourself, even if you are a cop. But especially not if it's a criminal genius like Hannibal Lecter. Because, I mean, how he gets them is so Lecter. If you guys don't remember, you're in for a treat.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah. I love this story. It's my favorite part of the whole movie.
Just fucking love how smart Hannibal
is. The flashback about what Hannibal did to him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the backstory here is that he was one of Lecter's patients. When he was a psychiatrist, and he's his only surviving victim. Although, as you can see, survival has not been that great. And he's a rich sort of sociopath who Lecter, of course, would have nothing but contempt for.
Right.
Yeah, I thought he'd be afraid of me. He doesn't seem to be afraid of me. Yeah, Lecter's not afraid of anybody. Yeah, I do enjoy what they did with the TV series. Like they said, it's kind of like a mixtape. They move things around. They change the events, little sequence of events. It's all done pretty well. It's too bad it had to end where it did, because when they got to Red Dragon, that was done really quickly. Because I mean, think about it. Think about how much time they spent on like the Minnesota Strike guy, who's just backstory in the Red Dragon. They give that like a whole like arc.
I've seen all 4 films that we've talked about, but I haven't seen Hannibal Rising. Is that
You
good?
do not need to see it. It's
Okay.
terrible. It's absolute.
Forgot
garbage.
about that one.
Yeah.
And the only reason the book got written again was because like Harris was more or less told by the publishers that if you don't write it, somebody else will, because technically we own the character for some reason.
Is that canon? Hannibal
I-
Rising?
I guess it would have to be, but
That's a shame.
you can just ignore it. I do. Because it's like, wow, so he had a Japanese aunt by marriage who he kind of had a thing for that taught him to be a samurai. Like, I'm not making that up. That's in there.
Cut your face off and feed it to the dogs.
Yeah, so he's giving him all these sorts of crazy drugs, and that's what he did. Seemed like a good idea at the time.
I mean, a popper is just amyl nitrate, right?
I don't know. It's
It's-
not
it's
above,
what,
you know,
like-
you think Lecter could easily put something in it. He's a genius, so, you know, he could put whatever he wanted in it.
It's like a party drug well, it's not just guys, but people do when they want to get fucked in the ass. Like it apparently loosens your ass all up.
Oh, that's a good tip. Yeah, so this whole thing here is, you know, he wants, obviously, you're supposed to bring Lecter, yeah, so he's the one that puts up the reward, by the way. So yeah, we don't really see it yet, but he lives on a big mansion out like in the country, in a big, huge property where like all the pigs and stuff are, because he was the heir to like some, I don't know, pork empire or something like that. He does think of a pretty good revenge for Lecter. It just winds up backfiring. Exchange information in a
Don't the
civil
pigs
way.
end up killing him?
In the movie, yes.
Yeah.
That's not what happens in the book. In the book, it's even more fucked up.
Who reads books? Yeah. Wait, what does the book look like again?
The book looks like this, or at least this edition of the book looks like
Oh,
this.
that's pretty dope.
I'm not sure what year this is from. It's pretty old.
What is the best horror novel you've read that later got made into a movie?
I mean, it depends upon how you classify horror, because I would say The Stand, probably.
Okay.
But if you don't count The Stand as horror, something else.
I'd say
if you-
Bram Stoker's Dracula for me. That's just a timeless classic.
It's very good. I have like 4 copies of that.
I've got my old beat up paperback from when I was a kid.
Yeah, none of mine are very new. I did just get a copy of oh no, I didn't. I was gonna say of fuck, what's her name? The lesbian vampire that predated Dracula.
Oh, Anne Rice.
Carmilla. No, fuck Anne Rice. I hate Anne Rice. Anne
Before
Rice
Anne
ruined
Rice,
vampire.
okay.
Before Dracula. An Irish
okay.
writer wrote a short story novella called Carmilla about 50 years before Dracula.
I'm not familiar at all with that.
Maybe not 50 years. Well, a lot of people. Well, I'll show you that later. But yeah, he wrote a lot of cool stuff. All right, so there's the memory of.
He bite his nose off.
Fuck
He
yeah.
attacked. It was an attack on one of the nurses.
Or her nose.
Yeah, he bit some nurse's nose off.
Bad day to be an RN.
They're just showing it there. It's a mention because they actually talk about it. It's one of the things that Chilton tells Starling in Silence of the Lambs, right? He says, you know, even when he like bit her nose off or spit out her tongue or whatever, like his heart rate never got above blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's a true psychopath. I think that's a thing.
Yeah,
They maintain that low heart rate at all times.
Committing violence, doesn't get their heart raising. Yeah, so the thing Barney had been doing, at least in the book, and I guess in here, is like he'd been illegally selling off some of his private stuff on like sort of the black market, and that's why he was with Verger. Verger paid an exorbitant price to get the mask, because to him the mask was the most important thing. But he'd been buying various pieces of memorabilia related to Lecter, quite illegal. Barty was breaking the law, not that anybody really cares. There's all sorts of stuff like that in the Batman comics, of course. In Gotham, there's a big black market for stuff related to the various supervillains. Some of the idle rich in Gotham like to collect stuff like that. That's popped up a few times in various storylines. It's a really good one in not Batman, but the Gotham Central comic about the cops, where they come across this guy, just this ordinary suburban guy that actually had a whole like hidden room full of like supervillain memorabilia. Yeah. Everything got thrown away when the place closed. Oh, I don't know about that, Barty. I don't think it all got thrown away. There you go. The Joy. That would be quite something, huh? A copy of The Joy of Cooking signed by Hannibal Lecter.
Huh.
16 grand. Because that's something where you could relate to. Like, if that was real, yeah, you'd know there'd be some nutcase that would pay a lot for it.
People love that shit.
Yeah. I have to say, I'm like a lot of people, like it's not at all unique in that I've always had a fascination with serial killers and stuff like that, but it doesn't go that far. I don't want to go to like a museum of serial killers. I don't want to collect their stuff. I don't like when Trent Reznor decided like I'm gonna go to like the murder house and record my album. Like I think all that's bullshit. It's just
I'd go to a museum.
It's just publicity.
I do have a strange infatuation with that type of stuff, but I wouldn't say it's unhealthy. I'm just, curious.
Net Zero. There's some
Net Zero. Oh my god.
Oh damn.
Well, it's 2001 now, and she's like, "You're selling it on the net." Remember when the internet wasn't just this fabric of our lives? It was like a separate thing. It would be like, "I'm going online," or "I'm going on the net or the web." Like,
yeah,
who said that in like 15 years? But that's what we used to say.
The net. True. Yeah. When's the last time you said that?
The web. That's
World Wide
what
Web. Surfing the web, brother.
Surfing the web.
Yeah.
Because back then, not everybody did it. It was a thing that some people did.
Oh my fucking god!
You go on the net? Yeah, I go on the net sometimes.
Oh my fucking god! Who called? Reconnect.
Yeah.
Mom, get off the phone.
Get off the phone.
I'm on the net. I'm on AOL right now.
Man, you have 56K? That's hella slow, man. I got 128K.
I'm gonna download this picture of a boob. It's gonna take 2 hours.
Oh, there's the whole thing about the deep roller. That's interesting too, about the starling and being a deep roller. It's a whole thing about like birds and how they fly. Deep rollers fly too aggressively and sometimes die. It's a real thing. But
deep
Hannibal,
roller?
It's a term for a way that these kinds of doves fly. It's hard to explain. If I can find the book, but I don't know where the fuck it is.
So they're like too aggressive and they die?
Mm-hmm. And he's saying that's what starling is, because she's always so tenacious that she takes risks and things like that. So yeah, and it's related to the bird, the starling, of course.
Here we are in where? Rome, Venice?
I think it's Rome. Yeah. So there's the cop, who I do feel bad for, because I don't think he was just greedy exactly. Because I think there's like, oh, he tried to bring it himself and he wanted money. Yeah, I know, but I don't know. And Hannibal really fucks with him before he takes him down too. Right, Dr. Fell. So Dr. Fell is his alias here at the museum. The sumptuous Renaissance architecture, shot on location, of course.
This is a much more stylized version in the first movie.
Some of it has to do with the actual content, but also, like we said, it's the director too, right? stylization. That's what.
I mean, not in a bad way.
That's what Ridley Scott does.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's a great filmmaker, regardless of how I feel about what he's done recently.
Oh yeah, you can't take away that he's directed some of the maybe not best films of all time, but most important films and some of my favorites.
Ruined the Alien franchise, but I guess it's his to ruin. So
yeah. I mean, to be fair, other directors had done damage to it before he came back. You know, he did the first one, which was pretty much perfect, and then, you know, he didn't direct it again for a long time.
Combining,
or do you mean as a producer?
What's the Prometheus and Blade Runner in there? It's like, come on, man, you're ruining more than one property here.
Yeah. I'm not a Prometheus defender. I won't defend it, but I still actually find things to like about it. It's another one of those ones where I totally understand everything people hate about it, and it doesn't. I don't hate it, but I won't also defend it either because I get it. I totally get it. But I actually still like that. I still like the movie for whatever reason.
I like it as well.
You're talking about Covenant?
Oh no, not Covenant. No, about Prometheus.
Oh no, I like Prometheus quite a bit.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't like Covenant.
It's when he was like, "Oh, you don't want this to be a part of the Alien universe?" It is, and not only is it, so is Blade Runner.
Yeah, leave Blade Runner.
All of y'all can take it.
Yeah, so you're talking about the case, the Il Monstre case, and obviously Il Monstre is a new serial killer, which is obviously him. See, he's really overt in the stuff he says to him. I guess, but I mean, it makes sense. It fits his character. I mean, before he actually does murder him, he shows him how his own ancestor was murdered like 600 years ago or whatever. Because this guy was part of a family that wound up like disgraced. Again, it has nothing to do with him now in the 20th century or 21st century. But back then, as I said, I found out I have some ancestor that was actually burned as a witch. So.
Oh, wow.
Back in Scotland.
Salem?
In Scotland.
Oh, in Scotland.
Okay. They didn't burn anybody in Salem. They hanged them. Most witches, most witches, even in Europe, were hanged. But there were some that were burned. But there was no burning in the Salem.
Oh, I thought that.
It's just an image that's up there, right? Burning witches. Burning witches did happen, but most of them were hanged. See, there it is. Who shot and killed most people. That's in the book. She set the record. Yeah, she got a thing from Guinness selling her sheep. She set the record for like most like kills for like a law enforcement agent or something. See, yeah. So there's the thing from Lecter. I'm almost positive we're gonna have a scene where she takes it to some guy that has like I don't know, hound dog nose. And he's gonna tell her the stuff he smells from it. And you know, Lecter, he's all high end and fancy, right? Whatever he uses is the very best, super expensive stuff. I think she actually gets several letters from him in the book.
Well, hello, Clarice.
Okay, yeah. So I can't really hear it, but I assume this is his voiceover for the letter.
Yeah, I've got the captions on.
Yeah, me too. James Gunn, of course, being Buffalo Bill. I mean, see, that's actually something he does have in common with Verger a bit. It's like he actually does like to psychologically hurt people too. And that was his whole thing. Is like, I want people to give up stuff to me so I can use it against them. And there he is. What's your worst fear? Did this hurt? What did you think of your father? He can be quite vicious too. And the thing is, he actually has a lot of fondness for Clarice, but still, he can't help but play those games because that's who he is. Still, Verger's worse because Verger does it to like fucking kids, just because it's like I can't molest you anymore, so now I'll harm you psychologically.
There was a picture of what was his name?
Osama.
Osama, yeah, there was a picture of Osama.
I know, isn't that
Damn, they really predicted the future there.
Well, he was on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. You know, he was on it before 9/11 happened. It's not like he came out of nowhere. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people didn't know who he was before that, but I did.
Way to drop the ball.
Hell, there's like a Family Guy joke with him at the airport from 1999. A lot of people forget that. In this, like the first, in the first season of Family Guy, there's a joke about like trying to get on a plane. It's like, and it shows it's just like something like Osama bin Laden singing show tunes to like keep his cover going or something like that. So it's Osama bin Laden trying to pretend to be somebody to get on a plane at the airport. He's singing some song or something. That was like almost 2 full years before 9/11.
All right.
So people knew who he was. People knew
Tell
who
me
Osama
it
bin
wasn't
Laden was.
staged. It wasn't a setup. Alex Jones.
Inside job.
Inside job.
False flag attack.
Turning the frogs gay.
Oh, fuck.
That's one conspiracy I've never really delved into. Was the 9/11? I don't really know anything about the conspiracy.
Well, I mean, the sort of the main thrust, I mean, there's other ones too, is the inside job thing, that, it wasn't foreign terrorists. It the American government actually did it themselves for this reason or that reason.
It's all about Halliburton.
I mean, I guess it's that kind of thing that gives things credit, right? Because I mean, it's not like Halliburton hasn't been caught doing all kinds of stuff, but not terrorists, not faking terrorist attacks. But I guess that's how conspiracy things work, though. You find a little bit of truth and you put it in there, and it's enough to make people think, well, maybe, that's how you do it. And then by the time it goes, you get people that will believe, if they're a certain people, they don't need truth. They'll believe batshit insane things because that's just who they are. Which, I mean, I was always aware of, but I guess during the COVID thing, that really got exacerbated. Because holy shit, they were tying COVID to like every ridiculous thing I've ever heard of in my life. See there, professional sniffer.
He's sniffing it. I've got a hint of boysenberry. Boy, I smell oak. It's very, very woody.
That's the guy from Breaking Bad. What the fuck?
Is it?
From Breaking
Which
Bad?
one?
The guy who rings the bell.
Oh, the guy in the wheelchair?
Yeah. Pretty sure it is. Yeah, it is.
Whale product. I was going to say whale products aren't legal where you are. A couple places in Europe. Yeah. I wish the Japanese would stop murdering whales.
And sharks.
And sharks.
Well, that may be more China, actually.
It's more China. China will murders all sorts of animals because of their bullshit traditional Chinese medicine. If you want to talk about
which is
bullshit. It's just an excuse to murder exotic animals and then
furious, man.
And then charge exorbitant prices to people for nothing. It's like, have rhino horn. It'll make you sexually great. Like, no.
Yeah, there was some guy that wrote a book that a certain species of turtle would cure cancer, and in like 3 years that it was extinct. Yeah. I hate that shit. It makes me so mad.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of it, of course, in China because it ties into traditional Chinese medicine, which is a real thing. But
a lot of China's problem is loss of habitat.
Yeah, because there's too many people tearing down forests left and right and bulldozing everything. And
there's just so many people in the East, man. So many.
All right, so they're tracing him through Interpol here. But he's going to stop sharing information because he looks at the reward and he's thinking, I could use that reward. Ah, there he is.
Oh, he's taking a sniff.
Hannibal is also, at least hinted to have like those sorts of, olfactory powers. Like he would have a super Yeah, so here's the thing you remember, Dork, that he's going to hire, being a cop, he knows criminals, so he's going to hire sort of a pickpocket he knows to try to follow him.
Oh, this guy does. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I remember he like shanks him.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because you can't get the drop on Hannibal Lecter.
I just love how he's so smart in these movies, man. It's awesome.
Well, I mean, that's the draw, right? Criminal genius. He's always a step ahead, 10 steps ahead of everybody.
But anything I've seen in film or in TV shows, it's nothing has been close to Hannibal.
He's definitely one of the most enduring and popular characters in cinema, for sure, and books. Classic character. And I mean, he doesn't have much to do in Red Dragon, but watching Red Dragon after the fact feels better just because it's Anthony Hopkins. Because, I mean, you're not going to watch Manhunter and think that much of Lecter. It's like, okay, he's some catty, English-sounding guy playing games on the phone, you know.
That's Breakfast Club guy, isn't it?
The Italian guy?
Oh, no.
I mean, that's an actual Italian actor.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
That's Ivano Marsacotti. Or no, sorry, that's wrong Italian. That's Giancarlo Giannini.
Oh, that's an Italian name if I ever heard one.
Yeah.
Gonna have to save search that one later. Fuck
I was
yeah.
thinking it was Judd Nelson. It looks kind of like Judd Nelson, though.
Does anyone
I
remember
can't hear the Italian accent right now.
Anybody remember what he says to Lecter? Lecter says to him before he kills him? He says something about the wife. But anyway. Because they run into each other in public a few times. I don't know if that happens as much in this, but it happens in the book. They're like at the opera together and a few other things.
Look at that old ass fucking Windows 98 fucking.
Yep.
There's Osama.
Yeah, there's Osama bin Laden. And there's Whitey Bulger's on there too.
Whoa, man.
Yeah, so that is the actual, except for Hannibal. They took somebody out, obviously, but that is the actual list from, circa 2001. Arthur Lee Washington Jr. Yeah, so they took out a real person to put Hannibal in, but the rest are...
Imagine if you found one of these guys and you got, back in without inflation, money, $250,000, and you didn't know them, so you weren't a rat, and you just turned some guy who was like a serial killer in.
What if you just walked up to one of these dudes and shot him in the head and be like, "Hey, I got him." Is that acceptable?
I always wonder about stuff like that, right? Because, I mean, these are killers that usually are considered armed and dangerous, so it's the easiest thing in the world to spin like some sort of self-defense, even if it wasn't. Even if you took them totally by surprise. I think most of the cops would believe you. Oh, yeah, I mean, he's a dangerous guy. You did what you had to do. Like you said, even if you walked up and shot him in the back of the head and he never saw you, you probably get a lot of leeway. For guys this guy's this high profile, anyway.
He was headed right for me.
Yeah. Well, as I said, I always wonder, like, sometimes you see stuff about, like, somebody that's, like, we talked about this before, like, rape is a terrible crime, but rape doesn't actually usually end in murder. But usually if a woman is able to, like, kill a guy trying to rape her, that's considered self-defense, even though we have no idea if her life was really at risk or not. So I don't mean it's only rape, but I just mean usually that's self-defense is not defined as, you were going to get raped. It's defined as
gray area.
Someone was going to kill you. Yeah, I know. Like I said, and a lot of the time you don't know. And I think that's where the doubt comes from, because sometimes rapists do, say no witnesses or whatever, so then they do kill the victim afterwards. There's no way a woman who's like getting attacked by some guy knows what he's going to do.
He wants to see them titties.
So that's where, like, feared for my life can always come in. Maybe the guy didn't intend on, killing her, but how are you supposed to know? This is a violent guy coming at you.
Right.
Ooh, that rhymed. Yeah. What she's talking about, they actually do show them eating him in the opening of the next movie, Red Dragon. Because you might remember there's a part where, he went to see the Baltimore Orchestra, but he was annoyed that the flautist kept making mistakes. So then he murdered him and cooked him and served him to like the board of directors or whatever. All while they were like, oh, it's too bad the guy was missing. But his playing really sucked.
Isn't sweetbread like kidneys?
Yeah, that's the whole thing about how, what's his name, caught him. Seeing the notes that he made about the sweetbreads. Because it reminded of something that his father-in-law told his stepson when they were carving a turkey or something. But like, because Graham had been going to, it was, the ultimate irony. Graham was talking to Lecter as like a source to help him catch the killer. And of course, the killer was Lecter. And he was just having one of those nights. And then he looked at the stuff. And just as he realized, Lecter came up behind him and stabbed him. Which is shown in Red Dragon, but not shown in. That's the other thing. It's not shown in Manhunter. They talk about it, but they don't show it. Again, Manhunter is the first one, the first time we see Lecter, and before Lecter has become the big darling and star. So nobody making the movie would have thought it would probably be important to show it. It's enough to talk about it. Oh, shut down, Grenler. She'd love to kick your ass.
Corn pone pussy.
Oh yeah, this guy's got like a crush on her. This Italian cop that she's talking to. Oh, he's not a cop, he's an agent. But which makes more sense. She wouldn't be talking to cops. But the guy that's, Lecter, that tries to catch Lecter, he's a cop. Chief Inspector. Okay, now are we going to do the pickpocket thing? Because, I guess the first time he was just trying to see where Lecter walks or something. I don't know. Is he going to call Verger here? I think maybe he's going to call Verger. Either he's calling Verger or, I don't know, I can't remember. Because he also has a conversation directly with Clarice, who says, if you're thinking about bringing him in by yourself, don't do it. And he, hangs up on her.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if we're here yet or not. But it's obviously international call, because he just pushed a lot of buttons. Because, the reward that Verger put out is obviously more or less a bounty. Because the whole point is bring him into me. Don't tell the authorities, because I want to have him for my own purposes. That's how it works. It's supposed to work this way. Now they call him back.
And those weird European payphones.
Yeah. Never used one. When was the last time you used a payphone anywhere?
A long time ago.
Yeah.
Early 2000s, just like this movie.
I think I got my first cell phone in 2001, so probably since then.
Yeah, that's when I got mine, because I got it just before I went to university.
I always bummed off of people who had the Nokia brick phones that you could play Snake on.
Yeah.
And then I got my own when the Razors.
I don't remember what mine was. It was black.
Razor? Yeah.
And it was like a brick phone because it was fairly thick and fairly heavy. It had some heft to it. I don't remember the brand. All right, so they call that, then they give him the special number to call. So I think that's Cordell he's talking to. Telling him how the procedure here. Because, he doesn't even have to actually catch Lecter. He just has to give them the location so they can come in and get him. But he gets too close. Because remember, Verger's a billionaire. He has his own, he does eventually catch Lecter. He sends in like a team of security personnel or mercenaries or whatever, and they catch him. Verger's extremely powerful.
Is he feeding Ray Liotta his own brains at the end of the movie? Is that who it is?
Yeah, that's who it is.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Spoiler, people, but yeah, that was the main scene that like Dem said. Like when he read the book, he was like, "I'm not going to be able to direct this movie." He's like, "I can't do that."
Oh, that's a great part of the movie, though.
I guess Dem thought it just wasn't for him.
I'll go do some Bruce Springsteen videos instead.
Plus, he was also right about one thing, which was like, no matter what I did, I don't think I could top how good Silence of the Lambs was, which is true.
That's a good call. Because soon after he did Silence of the Lambs, he did Philadelphia.
Oh, that's him? Okay, yeah. That movie got a lot.
I think he won for that, didn't he? Didn't that win Best Picture?
Tom Hanks won Best Actor.
Okay.
He might have won Best Picture. I don't know. As we said before, because I don't necessarily keep track of that because I don't care that much. Although I remember some, but I do know that Tom Hanks won Best Actor.
I know that's what kind of put horror films on the map, because before that they had never won any kind of award like that on that scale. So kind of groundbreaking in that regard. And you have people say it's not a horror film, but it is. Come on. I mean, it spans a few different genres, but it's got horror elements in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's close enough. I mean, I don't really call it strictly horror either, just like I don't call Jaws horror, but they're close enough for those categories.
You live by the ocean, Cole. Jaws is definitely horror.
As I said, I had a great viewing experience watching it just a few feet away from the ocean outside. It was great. But Dem declined the invitation to direct, as he reportedly found the material lurid and too gory. Dem said, Tom Harris, as unpredictable as ever, took Clarice and Dr. Lecter's relationship in a direction that just didn't compute for me. And Clarice is drugged up and she's eating brains with him, and I just thought, I can't do this.
So they obviously changed that a little bit.
I mean, that is still more or less what happens in the movie. The only thing they change is that unlike the book, she does run away with him. In this, Lecter decides to cut off his own hand to escape and not make her come with him.
She eats brains?
Bullshit. Yeah.
Oh man, I must have forgotten that part.
Yeah, like you said, he's got her all drugged up and he's feeding her. She doesn't know what it is at first. It's slowly revealed that, and Krendler, of course, is alive and conscious while it's happening. He's drugged up even more. I love how he stands. It's the same exact pose he has the very first time she sees him in Silence of the Lambs. He just is this sort of standing there kind of like a penguin. It's one thing I like about how he physically plays him is he's very comfortable at all times. He's not afraid of anything. He's always ready, so he's always comfortable. Nobody catches him by surprise. All right, so he takes some real shots at him here because that's what he does. He's apologizing there. So at this point, he's pretty sure, but he's not 100% sure.
Shoot him.
He should, considering what's going to happen to him.
Jay, shoot him right now.
As I said, it's Hannibal Lecter. As we said, nobody would blame you if you shot an unarmed Hannibal Lecter, especially if you were law enforcement. This is a world-famous serial killer in your country illegally, continuing his wanted for a million things in the States, and now continuing his reign of terror over here. Yeah, so he's gonna have this whole thing where he talks to him about his ancestor and what happened to him, which they did make some nice Renaissance art out of, because those painters were morbid as hell. The Borgia and all this was going on, and it's like, oh, somebody was like disemboweled publicly, somebody was dragged through the streets, let's paint it. It's beautiful art. Some really sick shit, but fantastic art. Okay, we're not there yet, but he does visit him again, and he's going to do. Well, I mean, that's right in the lead up to when he gets killed. He does the whole thing where he recounts the story and shows him the stuff. Okay, now finally we're doing the pickpocket thing. Okay. 50,000 lira. I have no idea if that's a lot. Probably not.
Is that the same? They have the same denomination that that Italy would have had that time.
Well, that's what I mean. Well, they said 50,000. I know that's lira. Nowadays they've converted to euro, but this is before that.
Right.
Yeah. When did the euro come in?
I mean, it came in a while ago, but it didn't. It didn't lock in all at once. There were countries that used it and countries that didn't, and now a lot of them do use it. I can't remember, but when the euro came in, they didn't all go to it right away. It was more gradual. Thank God they did it.
I mean, it's a good idea because some of those European countries are so small.
Yeah, my parents went to
just so many little countries.
Europe in 1977, and they passed through France and Italy and Austria and Switzerland, and you had to change your money every fucking time. All right, so here's our pickpocket. He's gonna do the dip. He doesn't even know he's been stabbed. All right, so all he's trying to do here is get the fingerprint. That's what this is about. There's nothing to take from him. That's why he got the thing that has the wide thing. So there's a good spot to get the fingerprint on it. So I guess if he's trying to get the fingerprint, he's supposed to be actually trying to get caught a bit too. Because you want him to try to grab you and hold you. But he doesn't realize. Of course, he hasn't been told who this guy is or anything like that. I'm pretty sure if I was a pickpocket and somebody told me it was Hannibal Lecter, I'd be like, okay, get somebody else. This guy just thinks he's, doing a job for a cop because cops can boss him around.
By the way, he might bite your nose off.
Yeah. That is always a risk. I even remember he said something. It's like, he tried to hit me in the balls, but I blocked him. Doesn't even realize that he's bleeding out. And that's the other thing about Lecter. He's just such one surgical strike is enough to be fatal wound.
Sever some major artery or something?
Yeah, it's perfect. He gets him just perfectly so that he'll bleed out quickly. Because Lecter's that good.
He just saw him.
Yeah.
He knows now.
Oh, yeah. He knows something's up.
Whoa, that guy looks weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Why were we focusing on him? They're just
I'm gonna have nightmares tonight.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he knew because he already had the knife or whatever ready. I don't know if we get Lecter's perspective on that or not. Because this movie, the way the book's written is it moves perspective from place to place. Sometimes it's somebody's point of view, sometimes it's somebody else's.
Oh man, those are good effects. Man.
Caught him down low.
Yeah, I missed the. Yeah, maybe he got. Well, like you said, the femoral artery is right on the inside of the thigh, so it could be there, right? You get that severed, you're dead.
It doesn't take long at all.
Yeah.
Just another day in Italy.
Blood and death. That's
it.
Italy.
It is crazy with certain body parts how quick you can bleed out. Jugular vein is another one.
That's the other thing. The book is weird because depending upon who the perspective is on, sometimes it just reads the way a book reads, like at the past tense, But other times, it seems like when it follows Lecter, it goes into a present. Instead of saying like he went there, it'll be like he is going. That's not a way I like to write. I never write that way. It's become somewhat in vogue in recent years to write that way, as if it's happening now instead of you're telling a story that happened in the past. It's more like you're saying it as it happens. I don't really get the difference, right? All right, so there's his Italian mercenary squad or whatever they are. Yeah, so the pigs aren't even native to the U.S. Is he like? So is he importing the pigs? Because I think isn't it like Sicily or something? Yeah, the pigs aren't even on his property yet, so he doesn't just have to get Hannibal from Europe. He has to get the pigs. Because I think this is like Italy or Sicily or something. These pigs that are being trained to eat humans alive, which they absolutely could do. Pigs like this are terrifying. And they've done everything they can to make them more aggressive.
Oh, man. Fantastic. He talks like he has no lips, you know?
Yeah.
That's not a real person, right? They just like put meat on him or something?
Yeah, it's just meat on like a dummy. Yeah. Yeah, so they're not just getting Hannibal out of Europe, they're getting the pigs themselves. So that's interesting. Because, you know, obviously he owns lots of pigs, but these are some sort of special breed, I guess, over in Italy or...
Babe Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
You're the only one without an umbrella.
Charlotte's Web on that hoe.
Oh, God, I hate sitting next part. We lost our audience. I guess we're up too late for them.
Well, what a great audience.
As they say here. You don't have to see some yourself. Oh, you mean Jimmy? I can do that better. What a great audience.
There you go.
Timmer!
Let's say thanks to... I have to give this comedy award to the people of Germany.
On R5 we have Cribbleford.
Well, what a great audience.
Well.
Ben is not talking to me.
Yep. And I hope to watch it tomorrow.
There's this hot wife.
I missed all the end of that because it said too many people were watching, too many devices.
What, for the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Shit, what performance are they at? What is this?
So if you're not able to watch, and I am, just let me know, and I'll get off and let you use it.
Well, I was on my PC and I was on my computer. I was on my computer and I was on my PlayStation. So that's 2, but it should be at least 4. Even though I don't know why it lets you have 6 profiles. So, and then were you on one device or 2?
I was on at my office, and then I shut that down and tried to get on my phone. That's when it was telling me there were too many. So I don't know if it was still registering my computer at work or what. So I don't know.
Because I know in chat these people weren't watching.
Yeah.
What's the limit? 4 or 5?
I think 4 is probably the limit.
I don't know what opera this is.
And my other friend has been gaming all night, so I don't know. Maybe 3 is the limit.
I think they're actually in Florence. I thought it was Rome. I think they're in Florence. which is probably where I'd want to go if I was in Italy. I don't give a shit about Venice. I like Florence. Yeah, the pigs are in Sardinia. It's nice eyes.
Okay, I googled it. You can only have 3 concurrent streams, so I had 2 open, and then maybe it got confused with your work one being open or something. You're muted, Jay.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. I shut the whole browser down, but I don't know why it was still seeing it.
Like, I don't get any of these streaming sites. Like, they allow you to make like 9 profiles, and it's like 2 people can watch. It's like, can
Yeah, I've never gotten that before, but I've never really done a lot of live streaming on there before. So I still could have gone and watched content on the streaming service, just not the live service. I'm
three
going back through
concurrent
Eastbound and Down right now.
3 concurrent streams on your account.
What's Starling looking at? Stuff about Kremler. Ah, right. Yeah. The real tragedy of this, of course, is that Halsey could have taken Lecter in. He got to a point where he could have taken him into custody. And then they could have verified who he was. It would have been all above board, but he wants the money. He gets himself killed. Can't find the damn opera. Doesn't matter. I mean, we know that's him, but I mean, it is pretty hard to tell.
Damn, that was a fat bite of spaghetti.
Just to drive home the Italian stereotypes a little further.
I mean, it was massive.
If you're not smoking, you're shoving your face with spaghetti. You had a thing on that with SNL where I can't remember what was going on. It was like an Italian game. It was like an Italian talk show where they'd have people on and just blab Italian at them even though they couldn't speak it.
That was Bill Hader, right?
Yeah, and then you have like 2 guys off to the side that were just doing that, like eating massive plates of spaghetti and smoking.
Smoking, yeah.
Well, just Bill Hader like natters Italian at people, and they're like, "Oh, I thought they'd be speaking in English."
Yeah, they would have like a real, like an American actor or actress on there.
Yeah.
Like whoever the host was.
Yeah. Bill Hader, one of the good things that came from SNL in the last while.
Jay, check chat.
Oh, no, I'm not familiar. No. Yeah, Florence. He's killed way more than that. That's the other thing. If you read Hannibal Rising, it's like Hannibal's killed like 300 people or something. It's a little ridiculous. I mean, I guess it makes sense in a way. There have been very prolific serial killers who weren't nearly in real life, who aren't nearly as adept as somebody like Lecter. So you never know. Still, I don't know. It seems to cross a point where it seems unbelievable. Because I think he like kills his first person when he's like 16 or 17 and never really takes breaks. You're talking. Yeah, just slams up on her. Like, is your life that bad, you idiot, that you need to do this?
Yeah, really. You think there's some sexual aspect involved with cannibalism?
For some of them, I think, yeah. I mean, that's how it works with a lot of killers. Regardless of what they do, there's some sexual component to it. Which is why even when you have killers that don't do anything sexual the way we, they don't molest people the way we, or rape them or whatever like that, there probably is still something sexual about something else that they do, the violence or whatever. So yeah, I think it is. Cannibalism is one of the things that makes me sick. I don't even like stuff that's remotely about it. I'm surprised that so many people joke about it. I guess it's because, again, I think it's just because it's rare. Because to me, cannibalism is a lot worse than things like, rape or torture or child molestation. To me, cannibalism is just the worst thing there is. And I'm not counting, of course, people that are forced into it to survive. I'm talking about people that just actively hunt and murder humans to eat them, which is very rare. To me, that's the worst thing. And people make jokes about it, which I think is, I don't know. And I mean, people say, you never know what you're going to do in a situation. But I really feel like if I was in another situation, I would just starve to death. I would not eat somebody to stay alive. I just don't think I could. I got the weakest stomach in the world. Everything makes me sick. You think I'm going to be able to consume human flesh? Yeah, I know.
You say that, but
yeah, no, they say you say that,
starving.
But the desire to I don't think so.
I mean, your just natural desire to live would overpower that. I think.
I think it would for most people, but I honestly don't think it would for me. I mean, I can't keep normal food down half the time. I barfed up a burger and fries 3 days ago.
Oh, wow.
I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I got to enjoy it for about 5 minutes before every bit of it came up. So, no, I don't really think I would do well, even starving, to eat human flesh. I think I would be way too repulsed. So, even if I made the decision, yes, I will, my body wouldn't agree with me. My body would reject it. Yeah, here we go. So, here's the whole thing where he decides to, really toy with him and torture him by telling him about how his ancestor got killed. Hand on shoulder.
Is this where he kills him?
It's leading up to it. Obviously, the other guy's there first. They'll be alone and they'll go up. Like a guy, again, I don't understand why his life is so bad that he thinks he needs this money so badly. Because it's even more clear, like I read in the book. Like, there's parts where he could have actually used the authority he had to come in daylight with cops, arrest Lecter without incident, bring him down to the station, have him identified, and then you've got him. But he chooses not to do this because he wants to hand him over to Verger to get the money. And he doesn't even have to catch, like he said, you don't even have to catch him. You just need to point him out for us. See, this is the whole thing. But he's going to stick around after the lecture. And he's going to get really personal with him. And then it'll culminate in his death. Lecter decides it's fitting to kill him the same way that his ancestor was killed. Disemboweled. So there's one of Verger's gypsy guys. The book goes into great detail about these Sicilians and gypsies, and of course how they come from a long line of, kind of like the mafia type stuff. That they're very brutal and they're all about revenge. So when they have Lecter in custody, they're not at all intimidated by him or worried about him because even though they're not serial killers, they're kind of like him inside. It's nothing to them to murder people or feed them to pigs. It's all business as usual. There's a name there. Oh, it's your ancestor. Isn't that interesting? Ozzy. And since you're such an idiot, you're giving me the perfect opportunity to kill you in the exact same way. Because I like that kind of poetic justice. Because I'm a very smart killer. I'm very well read. Oh, there we go. I guess the one thing is, he doesn't even get to die knowing that Lecter gets caught after this either. So for all he knows, he dies thinking Lecter is going to go after his wife. I love how the Japanese tourists bought all those hats. They're like, we're in Italy, buy Italian hats. Another thing that you don't see in movies anymore because it doesn't exist because everybody has fucking phones with cameras on them and everybody seems to be obsessed is like, you know, if you watch movies from decades ago, it was always Japanese tourists were obsessed with taking pictures of everything and always had cameras. Stereotype doesn't really exist anymore because now everybody has cameras. The Japanese just made an effort of actually lugging them around.
I'm so kawaii.
Cultural appropriation right there.
Oh God, you could probably argue that too.
I don't care.
We invented the peace sign, fuckers.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't give him any.
This guy's he's like a bootleg Benicio del Toro.
What did I see? But I haven't seen. Oh, he's in. I watched The French Dispatch. Benicio del Toro's in that.
Oh, really? I haven't seen that yet.
It's I like it, but I can see even people who like, you know, Wes Anderson, I can see a lot of people are getting, you know, he lost them on this one, I think.
What was his one before that? Before The French Dispatch?
It's been a little while because he's coming out with another one pretty soon, but it was kind of a gap before this one, wasn't it?
Was it the hotel one?
Was it that long ago?
I think there may have been one in between.
The Grand Budapest Hotel was like,
yeah,
2014. There had to have been something else.
Had to have been something, yeah. See, I don't think I've seen either of his two newest films. I need to watch those.
Oh, Isle of Dogs is in there somewhere, which I haven't seen
I think that
yet.
may have been before, but I haven't seen that.
That's one of the stop motion ones, like Fantastic Mr. Fox. I haven't seen that. I think Isle of Dogs is I think it goes 2014 was Grand Budapest Hotel. Isle of Dogs I think is 2016, and then I think there was a gap until French Dispatch, unless I'm forgetting something.
Oh wow!
But yeah, I like French Dispatch, although it's told sort of in sections. And the first section, well, actually the second section, because the first section is really short, is about Benicio del Toro. But that's probably the one I found least interesting, really, where he's this artist who's in prison for murdering these guys.
So we've done Moonrise Kingdom, we've done Royal Tenenbaums. Let's do Steve Zissou sometime soon.
Oh, that'll be dangerous. That's one of my favorite movies of all fucking time.
I know you like
so that'll just be me doing endless gushing, because for those that don't know, like, you know, sometimes when people talk about, you know, movies they love, there's always movies you love where you realize other people aren't going to love it the way you do, you know, and I don't expect people to, but I have like crazy irrational love for that movie. And to me, that's the best thing by far that, and I love his career, Bill Murray's ever done. Like, I love Bill Murray. He's one of my favorite actors, not comedic actors, just actors. I love him. I love his career. But to me, that stands above everything. That's one of my favorite characters in all of cinema. I love the Steve Zissou character.
Bowels out.
I love that movie. Yeah, that's right. Ciao.
God.
And spill.
Blah.
Oh, God. I mean, Lecter's got to be so pleased that he was given the perfect opportunity to kill him in just that way. He's like, what a fucking idiot. Over everything. I like What About Bob Fine. It's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love Bill Murray. And that's really the one that cemented it for me. So Steve Zissou. But yeah, we will do it then, since you want to. That's cool. But that's one of those movies I wish I could live inside.
Favorite Bill Murray movie?
There's lots of great ones. Some people go for a younger Bill Murray, like Stripes or something. And of course, Peter Venkman is a very good character in Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Crap, I forgot about that other guy. How did he kill him?
Slash his throat.
He went flying, though. Oh, these are two of the gypsy guys. Yeah, they find out, like, if you're going to come at Lecter, you can't just do two guys. Of course, everybody loves, not everybody, but I mean, Lost in Translation's a big one, Bill Murray. That's up there for me. It's a movie that, you know, considering it's Bill Murray and it's Japan, you think, like, that would be my favorite.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. I do. But it's also a movie that hurts me, kind of, so I can't watch it very often because I find it very emotional.
Yeah, me too. That's one that's grown on me, actually, over the years.
It's one I really need to watch. There's two movies that I haven't watched in ages. One is Lost in Translation, and the other is Eternal Sunset
Broken
of the Spotless
Flowers.
Mind.
Oh.
I need to watch those two.
I forgot he was in that.
Oh, he's not. I'm just saying those are two movies that I really like,
okay.
but watched like almost never. I haven't seen Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind in like 12 years at least.
Yeah.
But anyway. But yeah, Broken Flowers is good. It's not amazing, but it's good. But
oh no, I may have to go Ghostbusters, honestly.
I mean, that is a very good pick. I mean, if you're just talking
I
about
love
the
him in-
character or the movie, like the movie's great and the character is great. So I mean, either way. I don't like Ghostbusters 2 very much, but the main thing I like about it is sort of seeing him play that character again. That's really what I like about Ghostbusters 2. It's just, it's, you know, it doesn't have the same heft and impact as the first one, but it still has some cool stuff going on. And it's just cool seeing those characters again. And for me, him especially more than the others. Obviously, I like all the Ghostbusters, but it's kind of obvious that he'd be my favorite.
Except there's one you don't like.
By Bill Murray?
No. The
One
remake.
Ghostbuster? Oh, the remake?
Or the remake with the women.
No, I didn't like that. But I think a lot of people didn't like that, but
No one liked that.
yeah.
I tried to say you were a misogynist if you didn't like it. Like, that's...
Yeah. I mean,
that.
At least I understand where that comes from. What I didn't like was that I haven't seen the new Afterlife movie, right? But when that first one was coming out, whoever made that, I don't know. Some people who I think had less to do with liking Ghostbusters in 2016, and again, we're sort of on that track of sexism, whatever. They were kind of like, "Fuck you for making this movie because you're trying to erase Ghostbusters 2016." I'm like, I don't think that's what they're trying to do. I think they're just making another Ghostbusters movie. Like, I mean, really?
You think it wasn't well
it?
received. I mean, you can play the gender card all you want, but it wasn't well received.
Yeah. No, I didn't.
Who's your target audience there? You're talking like at that time, like in 30s males, right?
Yeah, 30s, 40s males. I mean, I get that it's always nice because I mean, it is true that when you're little kids, sometimes you're kind of too limited by what you see. I can remember playing Ghostbusters with my friends and like my friend's little sister, and we're like, "You can be Jane," because I get it. Little kids do that, right? Like, you can't be a Ghostbuster. You're a girl. But I mean, people grow out of that. I think.
I don't know if I ever went through that really, but
I don't think it was really
no girls allowed.
Yeah, I don't think I really had that, but I just mean I can at least relate to like not thinking anything of it if somebody said that. Again, this isn't my sister, so what do I care? But sometimes, sometimes big brothers want to come down on their little sisters and say they can't do this or can't do that. I never had a little sister; I had a big sister. So.
Yeah, and she's relatively close in age to you. My sister's 8 years older than me, so
yeah, that's a huge gap. That's a huge gap when you're kids.
Pretty big gap, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, at the time, my sister being 3 years older, that seemed kind of big. A lot of people aren't close. Like, we were close despite that gap.
That's not a huge gap.
It's not, but I mean, everything that I did, she'd already done it.
Yeah.
And by the time I got to junior high, she was in high school. By the time I got to high school, she was in college. You know, she was always ahead of me. we didn't do things together. She did them, and then I came along when she was gone. So it was just enough of a gap there. Age, because that's how age brackets worked when you're a kid. Like if you played a sport or something like that, it was maybe 2 years. That was it.
Yeah, my kids are 2 grades apart. They're only like 16 months apart, but they're 2 grades
Because
apart.
of where the birthdays fall.
So, like when one's a senior, the other will be, a sophomore. So they could be on the same team, hopefully.
Yeah. No, I never had that with my sister. Unless, when you're really little kids, sometimes you get put in together. But I mean, by the time I was like 7, that was over. Plus, a lot of stuff, if it was sports, she did girl stuff, I did boy stuff. But I mean, honestly, everything I grew up with, it didn't work the other way. But everything that I was in, whether it was hockey, soccer, or even the Boy Scouts, I had girls with me sometimes. And nobody cared. Not like a lot of them, but there was always at least maybe one token girl around. So there was nobody saying, you can't be in this. Nobody was slamming doors in their faces. I once played on a hockey team with 2 girls, which was a lot back then.
Man, I can't imagine they could hang with the boys, though.
When you're pretty young, they can.
It must have been tough as hell, man.
I guess. I mean, one was a goaltender. That helps.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, one was a goaltender and a year older than the normal bracket, since she was a good goalie. And again, in soccer, it was when we were younger. By the time we were 10 or 11, maybe 11 or 12, yeah, they did go on to girls' soccer. But, at a certain age, they don't make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, I played plenty of soccer with girls on the team. But I didn't play past, 7, maybe 8.
Yeah. Anyway, Krendler has been bribed by Verger to try to implicate Starling in withholding information, blah blah blah. It's all part of Verger's plan to get his hooks into Lecter. And obviously, we know Krendler's not a guy with much integrity, and he'd love to screw Starling over, so he's all for it.
You guys remember Kool-Aid points?
Yep, I do.
I was just thinking, I collect the Kool-Aid points, and I got a hat just like the one he's wearing now.
Nice. I don't remember getting anything of my Kool-Aid points, and yet that's something I remember actually having. A lot of the times when you had to collect points for stuff in the 90s, I mostly didn't bother because I never could get enough. I actually had quite a few Kool-Aid points. I just don't know what the fuck I did with them.
I did that, and I did Camel Cash.
That I don't know. I don't know what the hell.
For Camel cigarettes.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, yeah.
Got
Never heard of that.
Cool
I mean,
shit.
I know what Camel cigarettes are, but I did not know they did a cash thing.
I smoked a lot of cigarettes.
Mm.
Yeah, I liked when soda was you could get a free bottle of soda if you underneath the cap.
Yeah,
and
I had a ridiculous winning streak in the summer of '97 for Coke. So I used to go down to this neighborhood store. But it wasn't the one closer to me. It was a little bit further away. It was called Max. It's still there. It's by the park. And I don't think I paid for a Coke all summer. I got a free one every freaking time.
Oh wow!
It's I was on a ridiculous win streak, and yeah.
Or you could get a free T-shirt or a hat. That happened to me a bunch. And then
I never won anything big, but I got Coke after Coke after Coke.
Well, that's not big, but I mean, just winning small prizes.
Well, still something.
Yeah.
Nowadays you don't get shit. Nowadays it's just register online to never ever win.
It's all
enter the code and
look up this QR code or some shit.
And you never ever win anything.
I won a bunch of NFL shirts with Mountain Dew one time.
You guys might have seen me years ago. The hat's still there. I wore a hat that was like a Smirnoff vodka hat. Maybe 15 years ago, I won that. But my parents don't even drink it, but we had it for some reason. I had a case, and there was a thing where if you took, I don't remember, but anyway, you went online to their site, and you couldn't just, and it was you had to match up things. It was like a grid, and you had to get 3 in a row of something, kind of like a tic-tac, not tic-tac-toe. It looked like a grid, kind of like a crossword
Connect
puzzle
4,
or something like
maybe?
that. Yeah, or a Connect 4 thing. Yeah, it was just line up pictures and get 3 in a row, and I got them. I got the hat. And they at first didn't send it to me, and I had to write them an email, and then they sent it to me. And I actually wore that hat for a long time. You can see it in my old videos. I think I wore it in the Sausage Factory, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's like the only thing I ever won, like with an online thing. And they weren't even going to give it to me. They forgot. I had to remind them.
You're like hardcore on soda, and you're wearing like a Coors Light hat. So.
Yeah, I've got a Coors Light. That's one of my toques. The Coors Light hat.
Here's this hat that you got to pay for, but it's just free advertising for us.
Yeah. Very true. So he's been in her house now that he's fled Italy and come to the U.S.
Well, hello, Cole.
So it shows that like Lecter can also be reckless too, right? Because after what happened in Florence, what he should have done is taken one of his like other passports and fucked off to some other country. Instead, he comes right back to like Baltimore, where everybody's looking for him, where Clarice is. Verger's only like close by. Yeah, here we go, roller pigeons. Let's think about roller pigeons.
Hannibal gets a big ass beard. Oh, hello.
Shallow rollers and deep rollers. You can't breed two deep rollers.
I need to look that up. I'm not familiar.
I had no idea until I, read the book and saw the movie too. But yeah, it's a type of pigeon. Let's hope one of her parents was not.
Growing up in trailers, Clarice.
I mean, she doesn't really get to have as many like interesting, intense psychological scenes as Jodie Foster did in Silence of the Lambs, so it's hard to compare their performances from that perspective. In this, most of her scenes are with other people. She's not really with Lecter until the very end. So it is hard to compare their performances. It's not even their performance. I just think like physically and how she looks and sounds fits Starling a bit better. Not that Jodie Foster's that far off. I mean, she looks a lot they're similar looking. Julianne Moore's done a lot of interesting movies. That's interesting. I don't even remember what happens here because he's out in public when he gets caught by Verger's men. I mean, she tries to. Well, I mean, she does. I mean, she tries to stop them, and of course, she is the one who rescues him, which is interesting too. Would you rescue a serial killer just because he was, always polite with you? It's kind of an interesting line.
If it was a hot chick, probably.
Yeah, Grills, boy.
Yeah. Grills, son.
That's bullshit, by the way. That's in like every movie about like, I'll be off too quickly from them to trace. You either trace or you don't. There's no long things. Like keep them on the line right? So we can get the trace. Yeah, bullshit.
Stay on
and
longer.
It's not, and it was bullshit then too. It's not. I don't just mean now too with today's technology. I mean the way phone tracing works is you get it or you don't.
Always? Really? Okay.
Yeah. There's none of that. Oh, he got off too quickly for us to get the trace. If you don't get the trace, it's because it's blocked by something. It's not because you were too slow. So he drives a Ford.
A Stang, son.
Wonder what happened to her shitty car from the other movie. Maybe she had like a really crappy little beat up car. I mean, she's obviously made some money since then.
Stang, son.
I think it's supposed to be about 6 years, 5 or 6 years after the events of Silence of the Lambs.
That body style Mustang is the fastest Mustang, by the way. It's so ugly, but it's so fast. It's so light. The chassis is so light.
I mean, if you have a really fast car, how many opportunities do you get to really show what it can do? I mean, there's not too many places you can go and just open up. I mean, I guess it's good to know if you ever have to like run from pursuers. Oh, he left her the earpiece. Okay, yeah, that's okay. I missed that. So this is very deftly done, I have to say. Regardless of what you think of the movie, this is not the type of stuff that's a sequence that's easy to direct.
Mm-hmm.
This whole thing here. He's guiding her on the earpiece, but you've also got the other guys that are looking for him. You have parts moving and coming together, which I know sounds, fairly straightforward, but you have to know. I mean, editing is a big part of it, I think. Yeah. He knows that she's being followed, but he doesn't know everybody. Because obviously, he does get caught in the end here.
Oh, man, these old cars.
Way back in 2001.
Best school year of my life.
Well, it was the most interesting school year of my life because...
7th grade.
But I mean, if you say 2001 instead of 2001, 2002, or 2000, 2001, if you just take the year, it's the second half of grade 12 and the first half of my freshman year at college. So, interesting from that perspective.
At uni.
Yes, Ben, I did try it. In fact, first I could only get the zero sugar. Then I got and they both taste very much the same, and they taste like it's like drinking syrup. It's awful. I know I don't drink pop very much anymore, but I mean I haven't lost it to it's not like it's too sweet because I'm not used to it. I mean I'm still used to it. It's just I don't enjoy it. It's like drinking like cotton candy or syrup.
That's kind of what's put me off from it. Like I've got the regular and the zero
in
the fridge downstairs, but I'm not a big fan of cotton candy anymore.
Yeah,
I liked it
it's
as a
gonna
kid.
hurt you.
It's too sweet.
It took me over 2 hours to drink one. Just an ordinary, 591 mil.
What are we talking about now?
The Coke Starlight. Ben asked about it.
Oh, I thought it tasted like kind of like a marshmallow. I liked it a lot.
No, it's too heavy for me.
You had the zero, or?
Yeah, the zero. Yeah.
I've done both, and there's almost no difference. That might be I mean, I can't remember because I haven't had an ordinary Coke Zero in a million years, but that you could tell the difference more easily. It's very hard to tell the difference.
I had a bottle like this big too.
Like same here. Yeah, just that. Yeah. It took me over 2 hours to drink it.
Really? Damn.
I couldn't do any big swigs. A big swig, I'd be like, I could only take little sips every once in a while. Now, I'm saying, obviously, if I made myself up, it's not like drinking hot sauce. I could have made myself. I mean, as far as just drinking it to enjoy it, I could only, and I mean, I didn't enjoy it. But I mean, yeah, it took me forever. The second one I did drink faster, but that was more because I knew what to expect. And it was only out of curiosity to see, but I will not get it again. Plus, I'm not supposed to be drinking pop.
Have you guys had Pepsi Nitro yet?
No. What's that?
No, and the only reason I'm not going to have it is because they don't have a zero flavor.
Oh, they don't have a zero?
It's not like I don't have like Frappuccinos every now and then if I come across one. But
what's it supposed to be?
I'm not really sure. It's really sweet from what I've heard.
It is a sugared up Pepsi that has as much caffeine as a Pepsi Zero or Pepsi Max for you guys. But it has like
Pepsi Max. There hasn't been a Pepsi Max in like 30 years. I haven't seen Pepsi.
I used to love Pepsi Max.
Well, I don't know what the fuck they call it in Canada now.
Oh, well, we did have Pepsi Max. It was just like back in the 90s.
Well, no, it's Pepsi Zero.
Well, I've never seen Pepsi Zero.
But it's got the caffeine of that, basically.
Anyway, this new one, I don't even know if it's been released here yet because I haven't even seen it.
And then
Pepsi Zero, I think, is better than the new Coke Zero.
I don't know. This is when I stopped drinking pop.
Because they changed the whole formula for Coke Zero, like, what, a year or two ago?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, about a year ago. But Pepsi Nitro is like, it has the caffeine of Pepsi Zero. And then it's got about...
See, they got him.
Got him.
It's not easy to outmaneuver Lecter, but they got him.
Keep shocking him. Keep shocking him. And shoot him. Shoot him in the face.
Pepsi
they should, but again, they're being paid to deliver him to Verger.
Pepsi Nitro has about like 80 grams of sugar and carbs in it.
I mean, he wouldn't get away if not for Starling. Like, Verger's plan actually would have worked. Like, unlike the cop, who was just too dumb, you don't try to take him down alone. You're out of your mind. Verger did put thought into this, and you used a lot of men who who are veteran kidnappers and are also very ruthless and know how, it would have worked. She's what fucks it up because she finds him and releases him.
Look, Cole, it's basically like drinking a pint of ice cream, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to go to a specialty store just to get regular Dr. Pepper. Like, it's not in normal stores here. Like, you can't go to like a drugstore or a dollar store or grocery store and get Dr. Pepper.
I don't know what double Dr. Pepper.
So I don't know what So if there's any special kinds, like I actually recently, just because I was at one of those stores, I got a cherry one, which I'm sure is old hat to most people. But I'd never seen one in my entire life, and I paid $3.99 for it for a can.
3.99 rubles.
Our money's not quite that worthless. It's getting there.
Why is Trudeau fucking up?
Of course, Verger wouldn't have him on his own property. You idiots. Imperial sugar? I don't know what that is either. Was that a brand of sugar? I don't.
What's Ben talking about now? Oh, Hayden's in the chat.
Hayden says Dublin Dr. Pepper is a TX, and I assume TX means Texas. I don't know. Thing, I guess. Imperial sugar. I can't read your code words, Hayden.
You can't read it because you don't understand freedom.
I don't.
Damn it.
My fries aren't free.
Had some freedom fries today.
What's under the bridge? Oh, is that Starling?
Cole,
I
when
don't
are you
remember how she
gonna
finds it.
Cole, when are you gonna gain some weight and become a UFC fighter?
I'm getting kind of old.
You can do it.
It's not even about gaining weight. It's about getting my flexibility back.
Double time.
Oh. Well, I mean, we have plenty of sugarcane stuff here. Okay. Yeah, there's lots of stuff here you can get that's with the cane sugar.
What I like about living in Maine is everything is maple. It's fucking like maple ham, maple turkey, maple chicken.
Yeah, we get a lot of that too.
It's fucking dope.
I can take or leave it. It's not something I'll go out of my way to get, but
no,
like do you get that at Wendy's? Do you ever get the maple? Does that ever come up at your Wendy's?
I don't have a Wendy's near me,
bacon?
but I know they have it here.
Yeah,
and
we get like the maple
Maine.
bacon burger here at Wendy's.
But like when I'm getting cold cuts at the deli, they have like maple everything, like any flavor you want, of any cut of meat comes with maple.
Yeah. I don't like ham. I don't like ham anyway, so I don't buy it. Not a fan of ham.
They'll have like brown sugar maple turkey or like chicken.
Oh yeah,
So it's fucking the bomb.
Yeah, you can get that stuff here too. So finally, he has him in front of him. Yeah, one thing that's too bad about the movie is like they can't really get across like how terrible a person Mason is in this because the sister is completely cut, and the thing is like he used to molest his sister too, who is a lesbian. And also a big part of this was he was holding like she and her girlfriend. It was something like he wanted like they made some deal with him to impregnate her girlfriend with his sperm so that they could have an heir to the family. And like he's holding that over her, and so he can make her do what he wants and stuff. Because she's actually the one that kills him in the book. In this, it's just his stupid assistant kills him. Cordell or whatever his name is. I mean, he gets it's I guess more poetic in the movie because Cordell drumps him in with the pig, so he gets the fate that he had in mind for Lecter. But that's not what he gets in the movie. In the book, he gets he has like these electric eels that he keeps in a big tank, and she like rams something up his ass, and then rams one of the eels up his ass, and he's like electrocuted from inside. It's quite the death. But I guess they're like, we don't know how to film that, you know. So how about the pigs eat them? So yeah, they eliminated her character completely. But as I said, there is a version of her character in the Hannibal show, but she's quite different.
Damn, Ben, I'm going to ask you about that Frightmare.
What's his name? Maybe I've heard of him. I know a lot of these fighters, even ones that only came and went.
I don't think he wants to put that out there.
Bah. I don't know who Ben is or anybody's brother-in-law or anybody who married anybody. I'm sure. I couldn't fight in the UFC, even at my best. I have no ground game. If I was going to be a fighter, I would have been a kickboxer, which is what I like better. I like kickboxing better than MMA, but for whatever reason, it's not popular in North America. Boxing is popular in North America. MMA is popular in North America. Kickboxing is not.
Yeah, the thing I like boxing a little bit more than MMA, but not by much, because I like them both a lot. But boxing, it's like they'll be like, it's on Showtime pay-per-view, it's on HBO pay-per-view, it's on fucking ESPN pay-per-view, it's on every there's like a million pay-per-views.
So boxing is very hard to keep track of because it's not like one, like I don't understand how the organizations and belts actually work.
Yeah, there's 4 titles per each weight class.
Yeah, see, it's very difficult to tell who is best because sometimes really good fighters never even fight each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes by the time they do, they're both past their primes, and it's a big.
Well, they don't want to. The promoters don't want to lose their meal tickets, so it's like
Yeah, see, the promoters are all competing against each other, so it's very difficult.
That's one of the things
I've gotten more into boxing in recent years, but it's not this boxing. It's like historical boxing, especially boxing in the 80s. I've gotten really into 80s boxing.
I still want to see that Showtime documentary, but I don't have Showtime currently. The one about all the 4 big famous boxers.
That was one of the big reasons why, because I have to say, just from the boxing I've watched and the footage I've watched, the best boxer I've ever seen, and obviously I've seen at least footage of Muhammad Ali and all those people. But I mean, I think the best boxer I've ever seen as far as talent went was probably Sugar Ray Leonard. I don't know. The way he fought was just incredible to me.
You saw that, and then you saw Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3. Which one?
That really lived up. That was a great fight. That was a crazy fight.
That was fight of the year.
That's a fight where you figure there's no way it can be as good as the hype. And then it was so good. Yeah. I wouldn't have watched that. I wasn't even planning on watching that, but it was very, very good.
George Foreman.
Sorry, go ahead.
George Foreman, Evander Holyfield. I think those guys are. I mean, Tyson's great too, but I think Tyson just got that right hand.
Oh yeah, a guy like Holyfield was more talented, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not an authority. I'm just somebody who's sort of casually.
Well, he got his ear bitten off because he was so fucking talented.
Oh yeah, he was outclassing him the whole way, which Tyson got really frustrated with.
Tyson was a small heavyweight, honestly, like short.
Oh yeah, he was short, which is one of the reasons why he was so surprising. All these guys had height and reach on him, and it didn't matter at all. What do they call him? The fire hydrant. Oh, it's all hitting the shit fan here now.
Oh, wow. I don't think he could lift her. Anthony Hopkins was old then.
Yeah, I know, but the whole point, they're supposed to be like the character is supposed to be a bit younger, although they couldn't really hide it much, right?
Uh-oh.
Like he was old for 10 years before that. Like Lecter was always considered to be maybe middle-aged, not, whatever Anthony Hopkins was in 1991.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he just looks old.
No, he's old. He's older than the character. Yeah, hey Cordell, why don't you push him in? I do like this. Always tell him it was me. Cordell's like, yes, that is a good idea. So I mean, I don't mind the death here. It works just as well. But There's nothing as crazy and visceral as his actual death in the book with his sister doing that to him. But this is kind of amusing, where it's just like, hey, Cordell, you can just say it was me. And it is fitting, I guess, that the pigs that he intended for Lecter get him. So it's a change I can live with.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
Pigs are eating your face.
He would have been 60. I just had it.
Yeah, he would have already been in his 60s when the first time
64.
Yeah. But yeah, Lecter's never described as that old. He's supposed to be like middle-aged, like probably 50 on the high end in his first appearance. But I mean, Hopkins is such a great actor; it doesn't really matter to a certain extent. So yes, maybe Hopkins. I'm sure Hopkins didn't lift up Julianne Moore, but it's supposed to be pretty believable that Lecter could. And that's the other thing. Lecter, he is physically a lot like the Lecter described, though. He's supposed to be fairly small. And, not imposing looking or anything like that, but he's supposed to have, like they say about a lot of killers, just some sort of like wiry, intense strength that you're surprised by. Like you don't expect them to be that strong. Well, I've narrowed down who that fighter could be. I have a few guesses.
No, he put the name in there.
Oh, he did? Oh, okay, he did put the name in. Yeah, I see it. It's from a split decision win in 2013 on the Rousey versus Carmouche card, UFC 150.
Oh, wow, that's what got me into UFC. That card.
Oh, that's an interesting coincidence. UFC 157. Lyoto Machida beat Dan Henderson. Uriah Faber beat somebody I've never heard of called Ivan Minjar. Court McGee beat Josh Nair, and Robbie Lawler beat Koscheck.
Koscheck.
Uh-huh. That prick.
Bermudez beat Grice in that fight. It was a split decision, though. Michael Chiesa, who still fights, was on that card. He won. Brandon Shaw, but we all remember him, was on that. Oh, look, Sam Stout was on that card. He's Canadian, isn't he?
Not sure.
Doesn't matter, eh?
Yeah, Sam Stout was on that card. Well, the prelims. He won. Hands of Stone, they called him. Wow, Neil Magny was on the prelims, too. He still fights. I mean, this wasn't forever ago. It's funny that you say that, because 2013, the very end of it, that's the year I started watching MMA. Because what had happened was, it was right after George St. Pierre had his fight, and he semi-retired. And what happened was, they did the Ultimate Fighter. They did a season of the Ultimate Fighter, Canada versus Australia. So I watched that whole thing. Canadians swept it. They won like everything, including the fighter fight too. Like not only did the team win, they won the challenges, and Cote beat whoever the Australian guy was in their fight. But and I thought, okay, I'll start following some of these Canadian guys, and that's kind of what got me started watching. So that was right at the end of 2013, just in time to see what happened to Anderson Silva when he had his leg shattered. Or no, it was a little bit before that. It was I didn't see him get knocked out, but it was like I saw the replay of it like maybe a month or so after that. So yeah, it was just at the end of 2013 that I actually started watching the UFC. Because before that, I'd sort of dabbled in it, but I was not really a fan of MMA. Coincided with the fact that by 2013 I was going to Taekwondo and Muay Thai a lot, so I was more into that stuff. All right, so she wakes up in her house alone, dressed very nicely. She's going to find quite the scene when she gets downstairs. Well, that is very sad about the fighter. And I mean, so many of the things you don't hear about. Guys come and go, and you don't know why sometimes. Like a lot of things, a very tough business. But yeah. Yeah, UFC 157. That was a pretty big deal. Yeah, it's February 23rd, 2013. So
was she
that
just
would be
hallucinating that, or did she actually thought the cord was cut.
Oh, I looked down, but I'm pretty sure the phone's cord is cut, isn't it?
Yeah, it was cut, but then it's got her talking to somebody. And they're like, we're tracing the call. There'll be a unit there in 10 minutes.
Oh wow, I should
Stay
have
on the
looked down.
line. Huh. I don't know what's going on there.
I mean, she is drugged, and they are trying to make that through. But she's not wrong. I mean, it's not wrong. The cops do show up, and he has to make a fairly narrow escape. And the whole thing is like they're handcuffed, and they change the ending for the movie where he decides to cut off his own hand to escape.
I love capers.
Yeah, this is quite the scene. I mean, this is probably what most people are going to remember the movie, just because it's so crazy, you know. He's drugged, and they're literally serving up his brains.
Even though it's brains, human brains, it's still making me hungry.
I was hungry anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to eat.
Like, hey, buddy, can we not cook a human? Let's throw some beef in there. Let's try that on for size.
I always wanted to watch you eat. Gross. That's his? Oh, maybe they're in his. They're in Grendler's house. Yeah, of course. Her house wouldn't be that big. Yeah, they're in Grendler's house. Yeah, Bermudez was that kind of fighter. Swing for the fences. Yeah, the authorities are on their way.
Okay.
You've been drugged and part of your brain is missing, so you're not exactly...
Let's get that reveal. Let me take that ball cap off.
I think the
I
first
mean, you already
UFC,
know something's messed up because of the way he's talking.
First UFC I saw,
Even
and then I
white trash
rented
like
all the
Sterling
ones before, was UFC 13. Vitor Belfort beat Tank Abbott.
Ooh,
Oh
that's
yeah,
a long time
I watched
ago.
all those.
So
Yeah.
I saw 13, and then I rented 1 through 12.
Yeah, I missed
And
out
my
on the
parents-
cool old school era.
And I was like a little bit younger than you guys, so I was like, my parents were spazzing out. They were like, "Oh my god, people died during that shit!" Oh yeah.
Yeah, they really freaked out for a while. Wasn't it banned in the U.S. for a minute?
It was banned in certain states, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, New York only legalized it 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
Remember, it was such a
that's
big
true.
deal that they were finally getting a New York show and putting it in Madison Square Garden and everything. Because for years, there's the country pussy thing.
He said that earlier too.
Oh yeah, well he's repeating it now because his brain's missing. He does hate rude people. It's a well-known fact. Too rich for him. The next course is to die for. It's kind of a lame thing, but it works. Let's see, the cops are converging. I don't know why the helicopter's not faster than the cars. Maybe it's just the way it was shot. It didn't look like, because it looked like it was going at the same pace. It's like, you don't have to wait for the cars. Get there first.
Yeah.
Helicopters are fast, yo. Okay, so the incision's there, but he put the thing back on. Here we go.
Ah.
I thought the cut had already... Yeah, okay, there we go. Yeah. See, I find stuff like this a lot harder to watch than just ordinary, slasher violence. I hate, medical stuff. I'd rather watch somebody get stabbed than watch, an incision being made. I find that a lot harder. Ugh, look at that.
I know this is a little bit off topic, but is there any movie where you can see Julianne Moore's tits?
That dress does lead you to wonder, doesn't it?
I'm sure there is.
Yeah, I think so.
Is it Sex, Lies, and Videotape, maybe? No, maybe she's not in that.
I can't remember.
It's one of the older ones.
She's got such a long filmography.
I don't think she gets nude in Boogie Nights.
No.
Oh, god damn it, that fucking sack.
There you go.
Yeah, but what you were saying, Cole, like medical procedures, especially from what I've experienced in my life, definitely fuck with me a lot more. A lot of
Yeah.
the Cronenberg shit gets to
Yeah,
me too.
I mean, I like
Yeah.
like I like Cronenberg, but some of it is kind of like that for me. Yeah, for some reason, watching somebody just get like brutally stabbed or their head cut off, or like it's not the same thing as like some sort of like medical incision or whatever. Something about
Teeth, nails, brains. Yeah.
Everybody's got their thing. Some people it's eyes. Some people it's like when they put their fingernails out and their fingernails get ripped off.
oh god.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Anything like that where it's just like tedious.
You guys should check out X when you get a chance.
Yeah, I wanted to. Looks pretty cool. Brittany Snow.
She's in it. So is Jenna Ortega from the Scream 5.
Haven't seen that yet.
Oh,
It's hard because there's spoilers all over the place. That was
yeah. No,
Is it pretty much mainly a slasher?
X?
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets there.
that's
Yeah.
what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it's described as. Bye bye, Paul.
Put the top of my head back on. So he would have needed some sort of bone saw to get through that, right?
Yeah, I mean, he'd already made the cuts first. Like, he
Yeah.
wasn't, yeah. We didn't see that, but yeah, that was just a. That was just. Thump.
Get out of here. Have a towel on him.
Yeah. This is what they make different.
Headbutt.
Yeah. She's pretty heavily sedated. It's kind of amazing she's conscious, so she doesn't have any strength to fight him off. Even if she had hit him with something heavy, she probably couldn't have put much force into it.
He's an elderly man, though.
But he's Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah. Oh, is that a thing?
It's an old style fridge. Yeah.
They just come off like that? Like, no groceries for you.
I don't know. Yeah, that's probably poetic license, I'd assume, yeah. Frigidaire. Classic. Give him credit. He's trapped her with her own ponytail.
He wants to bite her so bad.
I know, but he does like her, and he thinks it wouldn't be right. So I'll just do a kiss. Oh, but for once, Hannibal Lecter has been surprised.
You just got cuffed, son.
That's really interesting, Larry.
You got straight cuffed.
I swallowed the keys, motherfucker. I mean, like, it's up my ass.
Yeah.
You want to find it?
Man, he really doesn't waste any time, does he?
Well, he knows the cops are coming. He said, I'm pressed for time.
Who are we going to do? Her or me?
Yeah, so he does. Well, I mean, that's the difference here. So, he cares, like, about her, so he decides at the last moment that he's really going to hurt. Oh, fake out movie fake out.
So he does it to her?
No, he does it to himself.
Oh.
It really speaks to his love of Clarice, doesn't it?
A moment later, Krendler made a gargling sound behind the flowers. It was only a spasm in his voice box, caused by the increasing acidity of his blood, he being nearly dead.
Think you could cut your hand off with a meat cleaver? Like one swipe?
It's a lot of adrenaline.
It's a lot of, I don't know.
Going through the bone is what you mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think you could do it. Not in one.
No.
God, it'd be so hard to do.
Yeah, she doesn't cuff him or anything in the book. In the book, it just says that he's coming at her, and then we jump ahead to an epilogue, basically, in Buenos Aires.
You're going against every natural instinct you have to self-harm, you know?
Yeah. That's not hard to overcome in the right circumstances as someone who's engaged in self-harm.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, it would be hard for me to do. I mean, to cut my arm off or my hand off.
Yeah, see, I think I would be much more predisposed to cutting my hand off like they almost trapped like the 127 hours guy thing than to engage in cannibalism.
But didn't he have to do it with like a pocket knife or something? Like he had to.
Yeah, he had to do it slowly. And
Oh,
barely, you know?
fuck. Oh, that's a nightmare scenario.
Yeah. I didn't watch the movie because I didn't want to see it.
I haven't seen it either. That's the Playboy guy, Franco.
James Franco, yeah.
He's got some brain in there.
Oh, fuck my camera.
He brought some brain with him.
Stupid camera? What the hell?
Don't feed your brain to this Asian boy.
Well, being Asian, he likes weird stuff.
Have some goat cheese and brain.
Fucker, I hate when this happens. Okay.
Put your hand up in front of it.
The
See if
camera?
it'll refocus. Yeah.
Oh, does that work?
That works sometimes. There you go.
That worked. Wow. Okay, that's a good thing. Because I used to always turn it off and back on. So that's helpful. It's a good camera.
Cole,
I'm sure when I watch this later, it'll look like shit
such a
because of my
noob,
connection.
Cole.
Some things, yes.
Oh, fuck. Don't do it. God damn it.
The eye. So, it's an interesting movie. As I said, my problems with it are just the problems I have with the book. I don't have any problem with anything they did film-wise, and the ending is probably better. Because I don't like this ending where she decides to run off with him and they'll be lovers. I think that's stupid. So I'm glad they got rid of that. And the idea that he would cut off his own hand rather than harm her, yeah, that's pretty good. That's okay.
I liked it more this time than the other times I've seen it, but I do think it does get kind of boring in the Italy stuff. I feel like they could maybe tighten that up just a hair and may make it be a better movie.
Yeah. I wish they could have said some more stuff about Verger, because all we know is that he's a rich asshole that wasn't, we don't really know how evil he is. Like in the book, it's really, like I said, it's so easy to root against him because he's such a sadistic bastard that even like somebody as evil as Lecter looks better by comparison. But I mean, it's a very good performance, of course. It's just too bad they didn't get to do more stuff with them. And they cut the sister out entirely, which is kind of too bad if you ask me. Because the sister had some stuff. I need to watch the Hannibal show again because it was very good and it was interesting how they did things. Again, they changed things, they moved events around and things like that.
I don't think I saw the third season, so I definitely need to go back and revisit that.
That's when they finally do Red Dragon, which happens after this stuff, which is kind of funny.
Really?
Because, Will Graham, of course, never meets the Vergers or has anything to do with the Vergers. But yeah, they end with the only thing about the Red Dragon stuff is like the third season only has like 4 or 5 episodes, so it's kind of rushed.
Yeah, I always thought someone else would pick that up. That's really someone messed up there, canceling that show because
I couldn't believe the violence they got away with showing. Like it wasn't like an HBO show or something. The violence on that show was staggering, and yet like we talked about it before. They had to like do certain things. So like if you have like a naked corpse, you can't see a nipple. It's okay to show like people like piles of corpses and skin getting ripped off and people hacked up and stuff, but don't show a nipple or an ass crack or whatever. You
remember that's American television for you.
Yeah.
You remember the mushrooms? They planted the mushrooms on those people.
God, yeah. Man. Like most of the first season was just dealing with killers that made like weird grisly tableaus out of like the victims. But like
And
the first time
the
I ever saw
wings?
the show, I just flipped to it randomly, and it was the guy in the silo full of corpses, where of course they had to cover up the right part, and the guy was like glued to them, and his skin was getting like ripped off, and I was like,
Oh,
this is like NBC on TV right now. Oh man.
yeah,
Of
it's
course, in
on
that one,
Hulu.
they go really deep with that one. As much as I enjoy it, they do kind of do something. They really do mess up. I mean, it's a different take. It's fine. I like the actor and everything, but because as I said, the main thing I like in the books and movies, why I like Graham more than Starling, is that Graham does not get fucked around by Lecter. He knows not to play his games, and he knows not to engage. Whereas, of course, he gets into a crazy web of cat and mouse with Lecter in the show. That's like the whole point, which I don't mind. But I'm just saying I do like how Graham interacts with him in Red Dragon and to a lesser extent Manhunter. Because like where he says, oh, he's like, persuade me then, Will. He's like, I won't persuade you. It's like either you do it or you won't. Like he still does get to him. There's a part where he has to run out of the hospital and he's kind of hyperventilating. It's not like being around Lecter doesn't mess with him, but he's much more seasoned, because the whole point about Starling is Starling's 23 years old and
Right.
hasn't dealt with any of this. So it's not like, oh, Starling's dumb, she let Lecter get in her head. Well, no, I mean, Lecter's good at getting in anybody's head. That's his thing. But yeah, it's nice to finally see the movie again after so many years. Lecter, ta-ta, H. I forgot about that little part. But yeah, I mean, for a book, I'd say the book is better, obviously, but it's still a pretty good movie. And
I'd say the movie's better.
would you?
Yeah.
The movie has a better ending than the book. As I said, the book has a sucky ending.
Are you Randy?
Are
Are you mad?
Oh yeah, your daughter. I haven't seen that. That's also from 2001. Speaking of 2001, I've said before, Jay knows this. It's my favorite year. It's my favorite year in film as far as like having films I love the most. That's my favorite year. I think 86 might be my second favorite year, but 2001.
That's a good year.
2001 has, well, at the top, Spirited Away. Then you've also got my favorite of the first of the Lord of the Rings, which is my favorite in the book and the movies, Fellowship of the Ring. To a lesser extent, because it was important but not part of the list, is the first Harry Potter, came out in 2001. Not a masterpiece or anything, but an important movie. Donnie Darko's 2001. Amelie.
Oh, wow.
The animated Metropolis, 2001.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's 2002.
Is it? Okay, it must have been shot in 2001.
Oh, yeah. But I'm just going by release dates, But, yeah, so 2001 is my favorite year in film so far. 86 gives it a run for its money, though. A lot of great stuff in 86. Like Aliens. Labyrinth.
Hey, what? 2020 was a great year for film.
Better than probably the last few, although there's still a lot of film I need to see from 2020. You've seen a lot more from 2020 than I have.
87, 88, 89, 99. All good.
What year did Battlefield Earth come out? Because that's my favorite year in film.
That might be the awful year of 98.
98?
It might. That's one I'm not 100% certain on. I'm going to check that. It could be 99.
Like Godzilla was, what, 98?
Yeah. 98 did have some decent years, but I just always remembered as terrible. Battlefield Earth actually was 2000.
Wasn't Batman Forever 98?
Batman Forever's 95.
Oh, really? Damn.
Yeah, Batman and Robin's 97. So we had some Batman-less years until 2005 with Batman Begins. So crazy to think that, like, in 1997 you had Batman and Robin, and then 2005 you had Batman Begins. It's because just the vast gulf between those movies in every single aspect is insane. Just shows you, it's just like, yes, it is time for a new direction, I think. But,
I was collecting those Batman cups when
98
I was 7
has some
years
good
old.
movies, like Dark City. I love Dark City, but I always think of 98 as like awful because I just happened to see terrible films in the theater in 98. I saw Lost in Space.
Oh, yeah.
I saw The Avengers.
1998 was Halloween H2O, I think.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was because it's 20 years
I
later.
believe so.
It was because it's 20 years. That's what the 2-0 means, right?
Oh.
20 years.
Hayden's favorite, Rush Hour. Yeah.
I liked it. It's like, as I said, it's not like there weren't any good movies in '98. I just happened to see a lot of really bad ones, particularly at the theater. I also saw whatever Seagal movie from '98 was. Saw that, and that's not even the last Seagal movie I saw in theater because I saw Fire Down Below like a couple years after that.
I remember seeing Truman Show in the theaters.
I didn't see Truman Show in the theaters. It's a great movie though. I really like it. Maybe not as much as I used to, but it's still a pretty good movie.
Saving Private Ryan was 98, I believe.
Yeah, the two big war movies were both '98. That and Thin Red Line.
Red
So
Line.
as I said, there's plenty of good movies in '98. I just always remember it as bad just because of that. It's not like nothing good came out in '98. Lots of good stuff. As I said, I love Dark City and I really love Thin Red Line. Those are two way up for me, really high. So there's good stuff there. I just tend to think of the bad when it comes to '98. Armageddon I saw in theaters in '98.
Same.
Don't want to close my eyes.
Because I miss you, baby.
Baby.
It's just like the whole song's good. Like the like violin and the orchestra is really good. And then like fucking he starts singing and it's really good. And then he goes, don't want to close my eyes, don't want to fall asleep because I miss you, baby. It just fucks up the whole song.
Yeah,
Probably the last hoorah for Aerosmith. That or
it makes
like
sense though, because like Aerosmith didn't actually write the song. They wrote most of their songs, obviously, but they didn't write that one. So, and it was their first
Pink
actual
is
number
my
one hit.
favorite color.
Yeah, never been.
Pussy. I'm talking about pussy.
Yeah. No way, Steven Tyler. We had no idea. Never been an
See how
Aerosmith
hot
guy.
my daughter
They have
is.
they have songs I tolerate, and that's about it.
Watch Strangers.
You know me, I can always name a favorite song by a band. I can't for Aerosmith because I don't even think about them that much. Like I don't have a favorite Aerosmith song because I'm indifferent to them.
Every time Cole looks in the mirror.
Yeah, maybe that one, I guess.
That's the only one I like.
Ooh, looks like a lady.
Yeah, they were part of that whole big obnoxious rock thing that really got going with like Van Halen. That isn't awful, but it's not for me.
That's not for me either.
Steven Tyler in interviews, he was on like Joe Rogan or some shit. Like this was like 8 years ago or some shit. He's like, man, you gotta feel the music.
I'm glad he still has such zest for life. But I mean, I remember like a million years ago, like this is like more than 10 years ago. They did a song and has a video. It's called like Summer Girls or Girls of Summer. I mean, he was already ancient in that. It's like him on the beach, and it's all like these girls, 18, 19, 20, flouncing around the beach. Now, they're not shown like, you know, making out with Steven Tyler or something, but still, it's kind of a weird juxtaposition. He's singing about the girls of summer, and he was probably like maybe in his late 50s, but because he's Steven Tyler, he looked like he was 75. I mean, you know, it's interesting. Rock stars either age like you'd expect them to because they live hard, crazy lives, so they age horribly, or they're just some of those touched by God people that age wonderfully. There's almost like no in between. Rock stars either look like they've lived every second of their lives, and you know, or like something like time hasn't touched them. There's kind of like no in between for rock stars.
What's the one? 17. She's only 17.
See, if it's not a single, I don't know it. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know Aerosmith that well. I know the ones that were like big hits.
But they're talking about a girl that's 17. What the fuck is happening?
I don't know. He thinks it's still like the 50s when all the songs were about.
It's still cool. I'm gonna marry
my
my 14-year-old cousin. Ski bop 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 ski bop.
That was number one in West Virginia.
That's another Family Guy joke. You see that Family Guy where they go into the garage and oh shit, and Joe has like the jukebox and he's like, yeah, but it only plays like songs from like the 50s, which is all like guys in their 40s singing about wanting to bang teenagers. And he puts it on, and one guy is like, trying to remember how it starts. Because there were three of them. What the fuck was the first one? I remember the other two. Wait a second. He's trying to sing the singers. Oh yeah, he's just like Gwen's like, I'm gonna be bop a teeny bopper at the sock hop or something like that. Then he flips it to another one and goes, 13 candles is probably enough. And then one guy, he's just like 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old sex. I'm gonna have sex, kids, and like it just turns into that. And they're like, stop pressing buttons, Joe. But That's not much of an exaggeration. There's a lot of songs from that era that's about them. Everybody knows Sweet Little 16, of course, but can't believe we lost Jay. The power of Aerosmith took him out.
No, that's not exactly what took him out.
Oh, do you know?
Read the chat.
Oh, I'm always going in between. Oh, that was abrupt.
Yeah.
He must have really had to go. Well, I guess I won't. I guess if he can't come back, we won't keep it going. Jay had an emergency to attend to. That happened. So anyway, thanks to anybody that stuck around and watched this. This was an episode or a live commentary I wanted to do forever and couldn't find the fucking movies. I'm glad that we finally got to do it.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I do like the movie, even though I bitch about a lot of things about it in the book. It's still an enjoyable movie, you know, good actors, and obviously, what's his name's a great director, even when he does stuff that's not as interesting.
Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott's a great director. As I said, it doesn't matter how much he fucks up now. Can't undo the good movies he did. So, did some great stuff. So yeah, it was very satisfying to do this again. Even do this finally, like I said, even though there's such a big gap. But if you're nostalgic or you didn't even know us back then, you can check my channel, and we did do like a long time ago, Silence of the Lambs and Red Dragon. So, where I'm sure I probably said some of the same stuff I say in this one. Who the hell knows? Stuff repeats because you're trying to compare the movies and say what you like about them and stuff. So I'm sure I probably said some of the same shit back then. But anyway, thanks so much for anybody that was with us, or if you're watching this in the future, that's cool too. Future people, what's up? So I guess we can end since Jay's not coming back. He's got personal business to attend to. Leave it at that. Jay's okay. Don't worry. He's okay. So thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. This will do for Hannibal. Have a good night. Bye-bye.